the post-game TV interview on the court with Jordan right after the game?
I did.
Like, remember, he speaks to Steiny Guru a couple of weeks ago and is very like, I'm here to support Steph and Clay.
Right.
And then that game ends, and it was all tongue-in-cheek and fine. I'm not sounding any sort of alarm, but the question gets posed to him, are you going to go give Steve Kerr some trouble for that starting lineup? And he just looks and goes, like, you know, kind of the visual, right, like a visual, and then just puts on a big grin.
He's the best.
He just puts on a big grin and turns and walks away to the tunnel. So, I mean, you know, he's a human being.
Of course.
And he knows what he's got. And at some point, he's going to want to show it.
And you know what? He's going to extend Steph and Clay's career because of the way
I
he
agree.
play off
Yeah.
the ball.
Good
and
point.
they're playing off the ball. And I'm sure they will welcome that. Like, we got this young thoroughbred who can get to the cup, who can make things easier on us. We can just sit here on the three-point line and get wide open threes because this guy's cooking the defense.
Yeah.
They're going to welcome that. He's going to extend the Splash Brothers' career.
And he's got no conscience, which is what you want. I mean, he doesn't shy away when Steph and Clay are out there. He feels like he's the best player on the floor.
You know, it's funny you referencing like how these guys are feeling and whatnot, and everybody,
That was a two.
yeah, that was good. Everybody said during the run in 2010, "Look at Zito, the consummate teammate. Look at him; he's running stairs before games." So one night, me and Covey had Barry Zito in here, and it was great. It was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. He was writing a book about all of the dark times that he had during that era, and he admitted it on air to us. Oh, I was rooting for them to lose.
Rooting against his own team.
I admit it now. I couldn't in real time, but like looking back on it, I was rooting against them to lose because I had so much pride and didn't want to see them succeed without me.
That's just so wrong.
But you know what? At least he admitted it.
You know what?
But
He
it's
admitted
just so
it.
wrong.
Any Bay
It made
Area,
me look at him different.
If any Bay
In
Area
a good
sports
way.
fan ever wants to know about the dynamic you're talking about, the biggest one in history, if you haven't already, go watch the 6 episodes of the Joe Montana doc
incredible.
on Peacock.
It's incredible.
You will be blown away by how livid this man still is today with the San Francisco 49ers organization. I'm not saying I love it. I do think that, for instance, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he does the whole, like, 49ers Chiefs, I can't lose today.
Oh, that drove me nuts.
Right. It drives the fans nuts. And, Joe, you shouldn't be pointing stuff like that at the fans because the fans didn't do anything wrong.
No.
Exactly.
But watch the doc, and you will go, I mean, I get it. I get what, and I mean livid with the organization. The greatest name in the history of the organization is still mad at it today.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, those feelings, they're all people. They're all people, and they've all got those feelings. It's obvious.
No doubt about it. Good weekend of Bay Area sports. A's home opener tonight. Giants in New York City to take on the Mets for 4. And in game 2, Warriors and Nuggets, as somebody outside is getting a parking ticket. Parked
the
on the
worst
street. You gotta
feeling.
pay. It's 15 minutes after 9 o'clock. Can you give them a grace period?
No.
Give the guy a
9:15.
grace period.
This is how they're paying my dad's salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's the Jordan Poole of parking attendants right there.
right.
She's starting early, man.
She's going for 30 today.
Damn.
Hey, at least all 4 windows are still on that car.
Yeah, that's
Got a
true.
ticket on it, but the windows are still there as well.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
that's a win.
Willard Dibs coming up. They'll be talking about the association right here on 95.7 The Game.
They're longtime friends
Let me tell you something real quick about Dibs that I'm sure not everybody knows.
and first-time partners.
Hang in there, big guy. There'll be brighter days ahead.
Now, these 2 homegrown Bay Area boys finally come together to take over sports talk.
Get the hell off of my doorstep.
Major League Baseball, you stink.
It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I mean, I got to start out. We love all of our listeners, but when you got the ones that are so dialed in,
I love it.
they're there every day. You know what I mean? And they can pick and pop with little things that we might have said 2 months ago.
Yeah.
First text on the board right now, 925. Willard took 12 episodes to get through that 6-episode Joe doc. Yeah, first of all, thank you for listening so closely. And thank you for paying the under. I actually think it took about 15 times for me to sit down and get through the 6 episodes.
Because of your inability to stay awake.
Can't stay away. I'm out. I'm out. I mean, my gosh, like what?
Holy mackerel.
I put a TV in the bedroom. I don't know. Like that's a thing with people. Do you have a TV in the bedroom?
Used to until my relocation sensation.
I've realized that I wonder why, because it's something I used to love the hell out of it. Oh, there's nothing better than quiet in the house and just curl up in the bed, put on a little Netflix or whatever it is you want, and just let me veg out.
Sleep timer
gone.
on. Yep.
Gone. I mean, there are times I fall asleep with the remote still in my hand. I wake up, I'm like, I never even set a channel, let alone starting the whole thing. So anyway, yeah, but I am. I'm finally through the Joe doc, and indeed, boy, he's still mad. He is still mad at this hour. Howard Beck is going to join us today, a little bit over an hour, one of the top hoops voices out there. Willard and Dibs, thankful for your presence. 888-957-9570, the number. That is our Xfinity mobile text line as well. And this is all sponsored by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. Let's get back right on the horse, man. Game 2 coming up tonight. You're going to be in the building. Kyle's going to be in the building. I expect a social media outpouring from both of you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And look for us on the 957 The Game page about 5:30, somewhere in that window. We'll do a little IG Live, and then, of course, our individual accounts, some scene setting as we go. But once the game starts, I'm not much of a social media guy. Maybe a tweet here, a tweet there.
Lock in, donation.
Lock in on the game, and obviously press box or press seating area, upper press, I would imagine, knowing my lack of pull in this market.
You'll be up.
But in the building, I'll be up.
You're in.
I'll be up and in.
Will you be cheering in the press seating tonight? Or are you going to just completely thumb your nose at the normal state of affairs inside a media press seating area?
Normally what I would do, my traditional NBA playoff approach would be first half, media seating. Second half, the tuck and roam, Mark. I call it the tuck and roam, where you tuck the media pass and you find a good standing room only section. Shout out my good friend Gary Sang, who has since moved to Texas, but I met a listener named Gary Sang in the standing room only, and every year in the playoffs, I would go find him where he had standing room only spots, and we became homies.
Love it. Love it. I mean, these are the experiences that are now unfolding at Chase Center. So we got game 2 tonight. You know exactly where to find it for all of you people who do not have press seating or tickets for the game tonight. You find it right here on 95.7 The Game. Warriors Live is going to be at 5:30. The game is at 7. All of it right here on 95.7 The Game. Game 2 with the Warriors firmly up 1-0, and mainly, not solely at all, because it was across the board. Performances were really good, but Jordan Poole was clearly the lead story the other night, and it got me to thinking, because my son sat down and started spitting Jordan Poole knowledge at me. You know, he's like, look at this guy, Dad, and look at these numbers, and look at this number. And I started thinking to myself, something related to, in fact, the way I used to be with my high school friends. I'm still very close to all of them to this day. We had a cool thing going.
How many,
cool
you guys?
We're probably 9 or 10 deep.
That many? Wow.
Yeah, we're 9 or 10 deep. If not, I mean, we've got a fantasy league. Okay, so maybe it's even 12. We're about 10 to 12 deep.
Did it start with you 4 and then there were 3 and there was ads, or was it 2 groups combined? How did it evolve?
It was 2 groups inside because
nice.
We kind of you go to San Mateo High School. It's a blend of the Foster City and the Hillsboro, right? And they come together, and we got a little crew.
These 2 communities, when they get together,
boy,
you
throw
can
the
throw
records out.
out.
I'll tell you what. I mean, talking about the Sharks and the Jets, but anyway,
not a lot of hostility coming down the hill from Hillsboro.
It's like, oh, things are going well at my house. Oh, things are going well at my house too. Anyway,
we're remodeling our bathroom again. Oh, it's such an inconvenience.
Well, it's funny. You go there, you come from Foster City, you do feel like you're on the main streets. I'm like, compared to Hillsboro, like at least we're allowed to park on our streets at night. Jeez. But anyway, so we got a crew, and I was always very protective of it. So somebody new moves in from a different town, and somebody's like, hey, this is my new friend. Let's bring, like, oh, you're going to come into our group? Hold on a second.
You must be vetted.
We need to vet you big time.
Yeah.
And that starts with, I'm going to keep you over here. You're going to get a Heisman from me for about 3 months at least, because this is our locked down crew. For how many years now has the Warriors lockdown crew been Steph, Clay, and Dre? And I mean this in terms...
And Andre, you can throw him in there as a...
Sure, but I mean, again, the drafted players. Andre's been there at times. Kevin Durant has been there at times.
I want Iguodala.
Kevin Durant in some ways left because he couldn't feel like he would penetrate the inner circle. That is the inner circle of the Golden State Warriors. It is who the kids emulate on the court. It's who our cheers are louder for a Steph 3. We know this. And Jordan Poole is sitting here going, I'd like to come in. I'd like to be a part of your party in there. And that's a thing. It's a great thing. It's a needed thing. That transitional piece for any championship group that's trying to hold on in their mid-30s, you need that guy. But I wonder, fans, are you ready? Are you ready to root for somebody else? Are you ready for someone else to be the leading scorer 60% of the time? Because he's got that look.
Yeah, and I think that they are now, because with each passing day, he's proving that he's cool enough to hang out with his older brother and his older brother's friends, because that's what this basically is. It's like when you're 12 and your little brother's 8, get out of here. You're not hanging out with us. But when it becomes... 24 and 20, or let's say 26 and 22, when everyone's of age, it's like, dude, I like your little brother. He's not such a snot-nosed little brat like he used to be. Even though the 4-year age difference is still the 4-year age difference, now when you're adults, it's a different story. My brother, Mikey 1.0 at the time, he had a slow-pitch softball team called Exclusive Sounds, which was a DJ company my man Carlos Wells, Mike's friend, had. So when they were all 25 and I was 19, I finally got to play with the guys on the adult softball team, even though they're 6 years older. And for the first time, I was that Jordan Poole where I was no longer the snot-nosed brat that they didn't want around.
I mean, I love that you changed it from 24 and 20 to 26 and 22. Because immediately your mind went to, when can we all shotgun beers together?
Basically.
Let's shotgun some beers. Are you ready?
And that's the thing, because this softball team, we Larkspur B-League champions 3 years running. I didn't need to remind you. That's obvious.
Talk about the mean streets.
Yeah, we'd go to the Flatiron after the game, and when I was 21, I was finally able to partake. In the festivities.
Exactly. Yeah,
of a post-game nature.
Although sometimes you're allowed to partake before you're allowed to partake. I mean, that was my moment. Well, I have an older sister. She's 3 years older. And that means when she was a senior, I was a freshman. And there was... Damn it. I'm going to need another IOU. There was an inauguration sensation.
Oh, I love it.
Right?
Cha-ching!
When she was having the seniors over because mom and dad were out of town... Like, I got welcomed into the fold. Now, I got welcomed into the fold by the seniors handing me a concoction that you would not believe. They were like, yeah, it's a screwdriver. Turns out it was everything they could find.
The wickedly potent.
Yeah, talk about wickedly potent. My parents' carpet.
Wickedly talented.
I mean, my parents' carpet wore it. It wore it because I was not able to make it to the bathroom on time when that stuff started coming back up. But my point is, that was them welcoming me in. Age 15, it was like, all right, you're in high school now, and you're not going to hang with us all the time, but you're going to hang with us tonight. And
it's
and
like
so
Dazed and Confused all over again.
Totally, it's Johnny Carson for our the older half of our audience. It's when Johnny Carson welcomes the comedian from the microphone over to the couch. It's like, you're welcome here now.
Right?
We ready to do that with Jordan?
We are, and I looked for a rating for my Ed McMahon from Spadoni, and he said, I don't know who that is.
That's why I said the back half of our audience.
Oh.
Yeah, Johnny Carson references.
It's a 4 Spadoni, my Ed McMahon, by the way. Thank you.
What did we do wrong?
Exactly.
I know what we did wrong. We forgot to play the song of the day. Let's go, Spadoni.
Just have a good time. Party rockets in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we don't make you lose your mind. We just wanna see you.
Shake that.
Perfect weekend right here at Willard and Dibs. The Giants 3-0. The Dubs 1-0. Pick your battles 4-0. 4-0. 1-800-bet. 1-800-bet.
USFL locks.
Oh my gosh. And the weekend even had a one-on-one showdown involving Nick Friedel. You got to hear this audio. We'll have that for you coming up in a touch. Howard Beck is an hour away. Your phone calls. Are you ready for a party crasher? Is Jordan Poole a splash brother? Are you ready for this? 888-957-9570 is the number. It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Dub Nation. Don't miss the 2022 playoffs presented by Kaiser Permanente, the first ever NBA playoffs.
o'Reillyauto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Oh my goodness, we are there. We are here. Like Spaceballs, we've arrived at now.
Perfect.
Now.
I couldn't wait to get here.
Where are we? We're here right now.
Game 2.
Yeah, game 2. And dare I say, your most consistent basketball player, Golden State Warriors Dub Nation, is Jordan Poole. Can we argue that?
That's crazy.
Of late,
last 3 months, most consistent basketball player is
Jordan.
Right? It is.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, and I know a lot of people are going to take this.
Come on.
Well, thank you.
Please.
Yeah.
How dare you?
My fault.
And Andrew Wiggins has been incredibly consistently Andrew. Now, your best player, perhaps, has been Jordan Poole.
Yeah. Not all the time, not every quarter, not every night. Clay was phenomenal down the last 2 weeks of the season, dropped a 40 burger. All of that. So I get it. And maybe it's a good thing to have options. All of the sudden, isn't it fascinating how one game can change the outlook on everything? I have spent, Dibs, the last 6 months of our lives sitting here looking at you in the eye, going, oh gosh, Warriors, Memphis. I don't want Warriors. Oh gosh, Memphis. They're really good. They're young. They're brash. They're really, really good. It took one night, and the Warriors look deep and lethal offensively, and Memphis looks wobbly and potentially in trouble with their matchup.
And I had kind of intimated that I thought that might be a thing that took place. Now, best of 7, long way to go, etc. But the opening blow was delivered by Minnesota, and it staggered Memphis a little bit, not only because they lost, but the way they lost. And, Minnesota can play better. Minnesota's playing with that feist, that Pat Bev edge.
Yep.
And, a little bit kind of like what we saw from Boston yesterday, to a lesser degree. But what Boston did to Brooklyn, you talked last week about Boston. Hey, Boston, what are you doing? Well, it turns out they were trying to get Brooklyn, maybe they saw something in the Nets that they liked.
I mean, they needed a buzzer beater. It's not like they were like, oh, yeah, we crushed you in game 1. Like,
correct.
They needed a buzzer beater.
But their fans, as a sixth man at home against, a couple of superstars who might be a little emotionally fragile, Kyrie Irving, who, there's rabbit ears, shout out Easter, and then there's what he had.
Well, I tell you what, that is the kind of interaction that maybe only Kyrie can pull off. Are we not making a big enough deal? The guy is throwing birds up at fans. Give me the other player in the NBA who can do that, and we're just like, well, but there was a buzzer beater. Like, that's usually a huge. You can't bird the fans, no matter what they're doing to you. That's a big trigger. We've gone through this so many times. You can't do that, right? This all started with the Malice at the Palace. Like, yes, there's a line you cannot cross as fans, but when you're the bajillionaire and they're the fans, you can't do that and then explain it away. But I feel like Kyrie did that, and it wasn't even the talked about story.
Well, it's just one of 10 fingers, really, at its essence. This is, it's not like you're smashing somebody's window or taking somebody's lunch money. You're just choosing to extend one finger over the other. Because if you throw this, and I'm putting my thumb in the air,
it's an emoji,
thumbs up, or, I'm number one, or pinky thumb.
Right?
We're hanging loose.
Or if it's just the pinky, it's like maybe a glass of wine after dinner. What do you think?
Or if it's the stingers up,
that one,
the ring finger.
I got to
lock in the other three. I can't just extend the ring.
Hard.
Way too much work. And then there is bird. Bird is the word.
Yeah. And then if you do that, you end up having to face the wrath of Nick Friedel. Listen to this exchange after the game.
Kyrie, to that point, do you feel like the hostility that you get still?
Let's not focus on this. Like, ask me questions about the game. Like, it's not about the fans. The fans aren't playing.
From a basketball standpoint,
yeah.
Do you feel like the hostility you get?
There's no hostility, bro. It's basketball.
Well, you were flicking some people off. I'd say that's some hostility.
From what? What point? Are you guessing that that's hostility, or like hostility for me is like growing up?
Well, we've never seen that from you this season, where you are running down the floor flicking people off.
It's the first time you actually caught it because it's a big-time game. I respond in different ways. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to focus on that. If you want to ask me questions about the fans, go ask them. Go on the street and ask them questions. All right?
But I'm asking from your perspective, from a basketball perspective, do you feel like the hostility that you get...
It's not hostility, bro.
Do you feel like the energy you get from fans in this building brings out the best from you?
Embrace it. Embrace it. It's the dark side. Embrace it.
Oof, my gosh. It's the kind of conversations that usually are reserved for mediation. It's we're just going round and round.
It's not hostility, bro.
It's not. What do you mean it's not hostility?
There's no hostility, bro.
You can't put your middle finger in the air and then tell people it's not hostility.
There's no hostility, bro.
You're not allowed to do that.
There's no hostility, bro.
But it is. By definition, it is a hostile act.
It's just a finger, bro.
Well, but no, it actually has a message behind it that is a very hostile act. It is a hostile thing to say, bleep you, to another human being.
I think he's just pointing to the rafters saying this is where the championship is going to be once we get back to Brooklyn. It goes up there.
Kyrie is,
it's not hostility, bro.
Nick wasn't even asking about the middle fingers, though. He was asking Kyrie about the hostility from the fans.
It's not hostility, bro.
There's no hostility, bro.
Well, can I bring you a different trigger? This is a little bit of a different trigger. Remember when Draymond earlier this year was like, my job doesn't work. He's talking to the media. My job doesn't work without you. Your job doesn't work without me. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then you got to play by the rules. And here are the rules. The media is in charge of asking the questions. Our job is to know what all of you who are listening right now are thinking about and talking about and wondering about. That's our job. Like when I wake up in the morning and you wake up in the morning, our thought goes to not what do you want to talk about, what do I want to talk about. If I ran into you at the coffee house this morning, you and I are going to talk about our golf round over the weekend, Easter with the kids, and your move. But that's not what's making the Bay Area sports fan tick. So we're thinking, all right, mind of the sports fan, where are you this morning? Therefore, media asks the questions because media knows what said fan would like to know about. And he's right. Nick Friedel is right. The fans would like to know why Kyrie is responding with birds as he's running up and down the court in Boston where he used to play.
There's no hostility, bro.
Okay.
There's no hostility, bro.
Super great of you to keep calling him bro. But you can't there's no hostility. I don't want to talk about that. We're not going to talk about let's talk about basketball. I'm sorry, Kyrie. This is what people want to know. Especially as you return to Boston where you have had a hostile departure.
There's no hostility, bro. And, that's all Kyrie wanted Nick to say. When Nick switched to energy, that's when he kind of answered the question, although he didn't let the question finish. He basically, I thrive on it. I'm going to use it as fuel. And, well, in this case, it's hard to look at what Kyrie did in the fourth quarter and say he's wrong because that young man took that basketball game by the scruff of the neck and took it over. If it wasn't for a fantastic finish from Tatum with the little twirl and the scoop-a-loop to beat the buzzer.
Right by Kyrie Irving.
Yes, but you can't.
Right by Kyrie Irving.
Honestly, you can't look at Kyrie on that play and say, you got beat. Smart with the unbelievable pump and pass, and then Tatum with just a a Michelle Kwan-like twirl, triple axel,
very
double
athletic
sow
move.
cow.
Yes.
I mean, that was just spectacular offense.
Russian judge thought it was amazing, by the
Still
way.
gave him a
Still
5,
gave it
though.
7.2, yeah, not a good. Yeah.
But Kyrie did take that game over. So, yes, it's hostility, but he also did use it as fuel.
No
It's
doubt.
the dark side. Embrace it.
Like, that's fine. Yeah, if you. Dun, dun,
Totally.
dun. I mean, if Boston. So why doesn't Boston embrace it?
They will.
Do it. When he gets announced, normally the PA, the formal way to be a PA announcer is you go banana land when you are announcing the home 5.
Good.
The other 5, you have to act like you're a librarian in the middle of an arena. Number 9, Kyrie Irving. Or whatever number he wears. What is KD wearing? 7? Is he wearing number 7? Yeah.
Not 5?
Number 7.
Who are you?
Kevin Durant. You have to do that. Forget that. Let's make a deal about it. Let's embrace it, Kyrie.
And then you got to do your Darth for your Kyrie.
I want the Imperial March to play. When this guy, stop everything.
I am your father.
Announce the other 4. And now it's Kyrie's turn. Turn the lights out. Get all the flashers going. Bam, 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 bam.
Do the Warriors still do that? They used to do that when the opposing teams came in. At Oracle, they used to anyways.
I don't think they do.
The Imperial March, I always thought that was kind of funny.
It's the best. It's one of those, just pieces of audio that immediately, exactly where you're going. The connotation is amazing. Let's embrace it, Kyrie. Why not?
Yeah, and you have to.
Flow through you.
You could do a full montage, the rare visiting player montage in the intros.
The Emperor. Yeah, that would be
All
phenomenal. Phenomenal. All right, what are you doing in just a second? How about Larry first, though? Hey, Larry, you're on with Willard and Dibs. Larry, what are you doing?
Hey, I'm just hanging here, sitting in the street in my car listening to your show, and I just have a quick request for you guys to talk about the history of Clay and Steph. How did they create their club? When did they create their club, and whose heels were they coming on in terms of, we're talking about bringing the new kid into the club, but how did those other guys create the club, and how long does Poole have to wait?
So, Larry, this is a great question. I would respond to it by saying they don't create the club. We do. We do. Marketing departments do. And we as fans do. Like, Clay and Steph didn't come to a presser one night and go, we'd like to be called the Splash Brothers. That's not how it works. These things naturally evolve, and we're watching this one naturally evolve.
The evolution of that, though, was the purchasing of the team and the trading of Monte Ellis.
Yes.
Because the Monte-Steph combo, they were never going to be Splash or Blank brothers. They were two guys kind of fighting for the same shot attempts. And the Warriors, Larry Riley, they made the right choice. They dealt Monte famously, and you draft Clay, and the rest is history. When Jordan Poole gets to that spot where they've been, if he gets a chip or if he leads them, quote unquote, leads them to the NBA Finals and you somehow fall short, he gets anointed. He's not yet been a made man, but he's getting closer.
I want to be careful to make sure you all know, at least from my perspective, I'm not talking about Clay and Steph being the ones that are trying to hold Jordan out of this fraternity, if you will. That's not how they look at it. He's a teammate. He's a brother. They're all complete and on the same page. I'm talking about us. This is and this is a real thing. There is an NBA hierarchy on every team. It can be complex. Jordan is not going to want to be a sixth man for long when he has this kind of ability. We've already watched an NBA hierarchy break apart a team because KD and Draymond couldn't do it. And KD wanted more love and all of that. The outpouring, the love that we give Steph and Clay, let's be honest. Steph Curry, has there been a more beloved athlete in the history of this market? Ever? Joe?
Than Steph?
Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed.
He's on
Timmy,
that, right. He's on that
Buster.
platform. Gosh, and I think Steph gets more. I think Steph gets more than any Giant. Barry Bonds, but Barry didn't even win a title.
Well, Steph has the benefit of being the star on the only team in his sport. You know, there's no cross-bay rivalry sports hate that goes along with the Warriors.
Right, there's that. So I like he's on that platform, and Clay is right behind him as his number 1A, and also is beloved for all of his off the court stuff, his captain hat, his boat, his dog, all of that. So they are highly, highly beloved. And so as fans, are you ready for, on certain nights, them to take a back seat to somebody else or welcome someone else to the party? I know most of you will be like, yes, if it means the Warriors win. But there's an emotional evolution and a hierarchy within NBA teams that is building. This is a real thing.
It happened to the Giants, though, when Tim Lincecum was no longer the guy, when Madison Bumgarner was, he's a horse. And, it's the natural evolution of sports. But to your point, are the Warriors fans, quote, ready for that? If it results in a win, absolutely they are. But I think it's interesting if Steph continues to come back slowly and maybe Clay normalizes, Poole's your best player in the playoffs, and you don't get it done, well, next year, it's going to be a whole new calculus.
You see where this is going, right?
I totally see.
Warriors win an NBA championship, and Jordan Poole is your finals MVP.
How about that?
Oh, gosh.
I think if that happened, Steph would go to all the voters in the NBA finals and say, guys, I have one question for you. What are you doing?
Willard and Dibs have a lot to say.
My only weapon was my mouth.
But they just have one big question.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? On Mondays, I'm always just waiting for this moment.
Locked and loaded.
Waiting. Like, there's so much over the weekend. But again, we threw perfect game. Giants 3-0. Warriors 1-0. Pick your battles 4-0.
Yeah.
You got your move done.
Huge.
Right?
Everything fit in the 10x10 storage.
Yep.
Shout out StoreQuest Walnut Creek.
Easter as a single parent. That's not an easy thing to pull off.
Passover.
Did it.
In my first ever Jewish holiday.
How about that?
Delicious.
Did it go well?
Yeah. Matzo ball soup. Who knew?
Matzo ball soup. Oh, I knew. Matzo ball soup. Hey.
I should have had a second one, 2 balls inside. Go ahead and cut that.
Absolutely.
I went with the 1 ball. I should have gone 2 balls in the broth.
Always go at least 2 balls in the broth. And listen, being in a Jewish kitchen can go a certain way. It's not like gefilte fish makes people's mouths water.
Oh boy!
But matzo ball soup, hey,
it's a win.
If you haven't done it, you need to partake. So I get to Mondays and I'm always waiting. I'm waiting for what are you doing?
Hot Take Jake is in the on deck circle, so
Perfect.
Give it to me.
Well, I'll give you this. Mine this time didn't come until this morning. So the lovely Christy spent 2021 as an independent contractor. You know what tax day means for independent contractors?
Schedule C.
Ow.
Bro.
Ow. Ow. You want what? So real quick, for instance, NCAA Infractions Committee. Remember when Cam Newton and Reggie Bush, there were concurrent issues going on, but Cam Newton was about to play in the national championship game. So they were like, we're going to go have a meeting, and we come out 2 minutes later. Everything's fine. Cam's playing. Meanwhile, the Reggie Bush at USC thing took a year and a half. My point is, when you are motivated to get something done, you do it. She woke up today and already withdrawn. It's tax day today. 10K spot gone out of the bank account. So, hey, IRS, you can read those documents pretty fast, can't you? It turns out you're not that understaffed. It turns out you can get that bank account right when the money is owed to you. Mm-hmm. Meantime, those refunds that some of us will be waiting for, have a good time. August, maybe. Maybe if you're lucky. Hey, IRS, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Stop telling us that you're understaffed and COVID and this and that and work from home and it's going to take us 6 months to figure out and this stimulus and that. You're fine because you're able to get when it's owed to you overnight.
Of course. Oh. They want to start making interest on our money as opposed to us making interest on their money.
Happy
the money,
tax day, America.
And yeah, it kind of snuck right up on me. And Curtis, I know you're out there listening. The great Curtis McCauley, my tax guy, Extension.
Extension.
If you can go ahead and...
Hey, Curtis?
Yeah.
We're not there
I
yet.
feel like I'm playing billiards on ESPN 4. You ever watch those billiard tournaments? He's going for the extension.
Right.
You get one extension per rack when you're playing 9-ball.
Yep.
That way you can chalk up a little extra.
Yep.
That's where I am right now, Kyle. I'm looking for that extension.
I was going to file an extension as well, and then I said, screw it, and I'm just going to write the check. You can just have the money and go away.
Yeah,
just get out of my face.
You know what? And be thankful that you can write it. That's the way I try to look at it. If you got to write a check today and you're able to, then, be thankful that something went right last year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
No, for sure. My what are you doing is Easter adjacent. So I had to go to the grocery store yesterday because I was going to make some lemon bars, right? That's fine. As I'm walking through the grocery store, the eggs are in a separate little self-contained cooler.
Okay.
At my grocery store.
Yes.
They're not like next to anything. They're by themselves.
Right.
There is a woman in the grocery store taking the cartons of the AA grade jumbo eggs, the 24 packs, opening them, taking a couple out, setting it on the floor of the grocery store, opening another one. She was like mixing and matching these eggs.
Yeah.
To the point that I am a person that's like, I just don't exist in public. You don't see me, I don't see you, but she is surrounded by eggs, surrounded by egg cartons. I'm so alarmed, I did not even take a photo because I stopped what I was doing. I have my arms full of stuff. I massively underestimated how much stuff that I was going to take and didn't get a basket. It was fine. So I have my arms full of stuff, and I'm looking at her, and normally in this situation, I would walk by.
Just keep walking, right?
Yeah. But I kid you not, if I'm lying, I'm dying. I walk up to her and I go, what are you doing? What are you doing? I had to know. I was not going to just go home and go, listen to this, because she's going to go, what was she doing? I was going, I don't know, I didn't ask. So I was genuinely curious. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I have to make sure the eggs are all the same size.
Oof.
So she has something going on.
There's an OCD situation.
Yeah, she's not alone.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
so,
she's not.
No.
Ma'am, you're not alone.
So I just went, okay, you got it. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to talk about you on the radio tomorrow. Have a good, happy Easter.
So where did the extracted eggs go? Did they go to the other cartons?
Yeah, she had an
So she was
open carton,
mixing and matching eggs.
matching, setting them down. She had a whole system, I think. It was unbelievable.
Listen, that's off the map. However, there are situations the grocery store puts us in, like the grapes need to be hard and crispy, right? If I want them, right?
Don't give me a squishy grape.
Well, how do you in a COVID era check the grapes? How do you check the grapes?
You can see them. You can tell which ones are. They start to get a little bit darker when they get mushy.
Pop a couple in your mouth.
Yeah, but see, now
That's not okay.
You've reached into the bag. You're also technically stealing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And honestly, like anytime you buy a melon or anything else, there's a lot of squeezing.
Sure.
An avocado that isn't yet totally ripe.
The avo.
How many times has that thing been squozing?
You'll sit there in the avo bin for about 20 minutes looking for one that's the perfect ripeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a COVID age, it's amazing. We won't shake one another's hands, but we'll jam our hands into a bag of grapes and then go, no, that's not the one.
No doubt.
Nope, that's
and
not
that's
the one.
where you got to just get over it. But the egg people, that's not the first time that's happened or been reported to happen.
No, it is not. All
There's
right.
no hostility, bro.
Did you have anything else you wanted to throw in there? You had a big moving weekend. It was probably not easy.
Everything went great. Shout out Jay's Small Moves. And our guy Christopher, who ran the crew, got everything in Jenga-like fashion into the 10x10 storage unit.
I mean, if you come out,
for the Adriana.
Yeah, if you come out of a moving weekend in a good mood, woo,
exhausted.
Well, sure, but satisfied
and full of brisket.
Well,
shout out Passover.
There it is. All right. 888-957-9570. That's also our Xfinity mobile text line. Yes, you can weigh in. Are you ready for Jordan Poole to be an honorary Splash Brother? Plus, the San Francisco Giants, their fans and their haters. There's a special question for all of you as well. That's coming up next on Willard and Dibs.
You've heard the latest news, traffic, and weather, but there's something else you should hear. Consider getting a COVID-19.
dark side and embrace it.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Oh my gosh. Once again, the greatest podcast that's never lived. It's called The Breaks. Wow.
You can't even do the Darth right now. You're winded.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I mean, the emotions of that
do.
break.
Oh, I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, my goodness. You YouTubers and you Twitchers, you can see the exhaustion that has overtaken Mark Willard. He owed $7 to the donation sensation That's a Buck jar.
Cha-ching!
But we play Make It, Take It. So if you can crumple your bill, shoot it across the room, and make it, you don't have to pay it. Willard pays a $5 bill from downtown. Bang!
Fruit Cup.
Fruit Cup.
The celebration.
Oh, my God. You're
that took
exhausted.
place.
Totally.
I mean, Kyle and I both went on a lap through the entire building. I lost my way, almost ended up in the women's restroom. That's when I realized I better stop and go back. Did the Iguodala on the way back, the LeBron,
right,
and then brought it back into the room when half of the apple that I just ate ended up getting lodged in the lining of my heart, and I fell to the ground coughing uncontrollably, which is not COVID compliant. That was wow.
Nor is it really good for the radio show when you can't speak. But congrats.
I'm okay.
What a shot.
That was
electric.
Oh, my gosh, right? I mean, if San Francisco is not basketball alive now, I don't know when it will be. You got Chase Center all lit up on Saturday and again tonight, and I'm hitting 5 spots from downtown.
Yes, unfortunately, that was on the heels of you missing your apple core from distance.
Woo.
Which was a little bit of a cleanup on aisle 3 situation.
It was gross, but at least it is, organic and from the earth. So it's okay. Wow,
you're off the card now.
That felt
Attaboy.
really good. That felt really good. Can I be the 4th splash brother after that one?
After throwing in a $5 bill from 6 feet away?
That's a no.
Yeah.
It's a no. All right. Willard and Dibs is brought to you by Fremont Bank. Full service banking, no compromises. Howard Beck coming up in about 25 minutes because don't want to just only give credence and credit to the Warriors today. What happened around the league was interesting, and the around the league lead story, sure, there's the Brooklyn-Boston game, and we talked it out a little bit, but hey, took one weekend, and all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, not only did he check, yes, the Warriors looked good, they hadn't beaten Denver all year, but now they're at full, sort of, air quotes, full strength, and boom, they whipped Denver in game 1, and right before that, oh my gosh, Memphis is down 0-1. They've lost home court. And the brash behavior that usually wins them games, I think they've run into a team that's got even more brash than they've got.
Brasher. What's brasher than brash?
Wow.
Remember the old What's Grosser Than Gross comedy from back in the 80s?
Man.
Yeah. This is, I think, a good case of, what's brasher than brash, because Minnesota plays with that IDGAF swagger of a Patrick Beverly. And when you have a young team, and D'Angelo Russell is not a soft player by any stretch, so you add in a couple of youngsters. Karl Anthony Towns has never been ferocious, quote unquote, but they're all assimilating toward Patrick Beverly's MO. And when you play with that sort of edge, and Memphis not an elite defensive team, so Minnesota able to bring that heat, and we saw it from Boston yesterday. In the playoffs, you're going to be given a little bit more room to be physical. You saw that from the Whistle Fest yesterday in Brooklyn and Boston. You can't call every foul every time. So if you play with that edge, you can get away with a little bit more in the offs.
More on that coming up in a second, because if suddenly, and we're way too ahead of the game, but remember the stats that we threw out there last week. What's the number? Approximately 80% of the teams that win game 1 win the series. So now, what if it's Minnesota that's waiting for Golden State in round 2? Obviously, it flips home court advantage, changes the matchup entirely, changes the potential run to the Western Conference Finals entirely. We'll get into that in a few, but let's go to Jay in the Bay. Hey, Jay, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Hey, real fast, last week the lady had super glued her hands onto the floor, and now this week at the Minnesota game, a lady came up and chained herself to the basketball hoop because of another animal activist movement. I'm just sitting here looking at her like, is there no other way that you could have done this protest? And thinking, what are you doing, lady? You're crazy.
Well, Jay, I'll respond with this and fully admit that I know a little bit, but not all, of what's going on with the protest and the owners of the Timberwolves and animal cruelty. Believe me, anything animal related is near and dear to my heart. But I'll just respond to you this way, which is that whenever people say, I would like your protest to fit my needs a little bit better, well, that's exactly why it's a protest. Like what you just said sort of made me feel a certain way about everything that happened with Colin Kaepernick. Oh, sure, you're allowed to protest, but don't protest that way because it makes me uncomfortable or it takes time out of my day. Somebody does something on the bridge, right? It takes time out of my... That's the whole idea of the protest. The idea of the protest is to make people uncomfortable. It is to get people to focus on what's going on because there are big issues out there. I understand it. We're all basketball fans. We'd like the game to just go on. But that at times can feel like a privileged stance.
Yes.
That's what I would say about it.
And it was a protest that has happened, and it probably will happen again next time Minnesota plays at home. It's not as that difficult when you get a ticket, and I don't know how she was able to get the chain through security. That's a little bit of a curiosity. I'm just looking at the video now, and it's a pretty elaborate setup, but that's a good point you make about protest. The very nature of a protest is to be disruptive. If she just sent out a tweet with her 14 followers, it probably doesn't get much of a ripple.
Right. You do it outside in the parking lot, please. Well, who cares?
Right.
That's not going to bother anybody, and nothing's ever going to change. So, again, I'm not going to claim to be the most educated on the animal issues coming from the top of the Minnesota Timberwolves organization. However, protests are not designed to make us comfortable. I do know that. 888-957-9570. That's the number. That's also our Xfinity mobile text line. Keep them coming. All right, so what about, let's go there. Let's do the too early conversation. What about the Warriors' road through the Western Conference playoffs if Memphis isn't there? What about that? How does that change both their odds, their likelihood, and the way we feel about the achievement, if you will, if they end up getting all the way to Phoenix, but all they've got to do to get there is beat the 6 and the 7 seed?
I don't think it changes or should change how we look at what the achievement is. The achievement is the achievement. If you win 16 games in one singular playoff, you are the champion. That's basically what it comes down to. One team is going to win 16 games in the playoffs. Now, is it 16 out of 16? Is it 16 out of 28? Or something in between? When the Warriors won 16 of 17 playoff games with Kevin Durant, it didn't really matter what their run was because the thinking was they would beat any team ever assembled in the history of the association. So we didn't think about it in those terms. But the first championship where, Kyrie was hampered, does that somehow take away from the championship or the run you go on? To me, the path you take to get a championship doesn't affect whether or not the championship was legit. You made this point in the earlier call. Kansas beating North Carolina to win it all, an 8 seed.
An 8 seed.
History won't look back and say, well, Kansas, you only get 0.85 national championships because you didn't beat a 1.
Right. Especially because it was North Carolina, too. Like, it's a team that we're used to being a 1, 2, or a 3 seed.
Yeah.
But you're right, and sometimes we remember that stuff for a few years. Again, the Warriors were blessed with a lot of star players getting injured in front of them. Look, how about the year that when they beat the Rockets in Game 7 and Chris Paul was out?
Right.
Do we think about it? Do we really give credence to what took place there? Do we really think that the Warriors would have won that if Chris didn't get hurt? Look, you can remember that stuff for a little while, and then the further we go, you'll remember a sum total of none of it. It's simply who won the championship. Do you believe that in Toronto, they're sitting there still today going, I mean, I know we won the championship.
Right.
But
we should give it back.
Kevin and Clay got hurt, and let's be honest, we We didn't really deserve it. We weren't the best. That's not the way it works.
You think Cleveland wants to give it back in 17 when Draymond got suspended for popping LeBron in the family jewels? No, they're not giving that one back.
No, nobody gives anything back, nor should they. I mean, there's always a story of how something ends up where it is. And there's always a yeah, but. There's always a yeah, but. Dibs, we're golfers. How often do you ever make anything worse than par or ever have a bad round and you don't have a pile of yeah, buts? Yeah, but, oh, well, they punch the greens and the wind and the cold and the distraction and the this and the that. I mean,
my neck and my back.
I played Crystal Springs yesterday with a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old. You don't think I had enough distractions to explain away every bad shot?
Did you beat the 15-year-old, by the way?
I did.
Yeah, because we talked about whether or not it was time for him to.
Yeah.
But you still, I am your father.
Yeah, I did. You know, Gus Johnson.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
Yeah, but
Jedi yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Exactly. Not yet. And the Force is strong with that one. But not yet. Not yet. Nope. I had to.
No!
No! Four for the
chosen one. Yeah. Because my son has gotten me. Yes. He has. The Force is strong with that one.
He's gotten me, but that's why we got to go to the big course sometimes. We can go to the big boy course and be like, come on, let's run around this thing a couple of times and see what's cooking. I still got a pretty good mental edge on the.
You probably didn't even have to turn it on just yet.
Not really. There's a lot crumbling around me on that one. But anyway, this changes the whole outlook for me if we can bring into play something that I will admit, and maybe I was wildly wrong. I've been saying it all year. Drumbeat, Memphis is the team that scares me. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not ready for the big dance. Maybe it's stupid to say that after one game.
Yeah.
But if the percentages tell you that 80% of the time the team that loses that game is going to lose the series, and I wonder what is the percentage when that game one loss is at home?
I think it's about 75% in general, but it goes up to 80 when the home team loses the first one at home.
It's interesting because in theory, a game one loss at home is even more damaging. You've lost home court advantage.
Yes.
However, in another theory, you are the better team. You're supposed to be the better team, which would give you a better chance of rallying back. No? I wonder about that analytic. That said, yes, game one is enough for me to at least start imagining what these Western Conference playoffs would look like without Memphis. And they are different.
Yes.
For the Warriors.
Different, but not necessarily that much easier because Minnesota's a team that has played better and it's given you some problems a little bit. And if Minnesota's good enough to beat Memphis, that means they're better than Memphis right now. So that, I mean,
we've arrived at now.
And if we've arrived at now, then in 2 weeks and Minnesota wins it in 6 or 7, that means Minnesota is better than Memphis. That means Minnesota needs to be respected more than what we normally would.
That's a great point. However, we also know that styles make fights and it is about matchups. And I don't necessarily love the Warriors-Memphis matchup. Memphis, you said it earlier, they're not a great defensive team. However, I don't love the Warriors' chances to stop Memphis and the offense that they throw at them. Plus, the Warriors get under the Memphis Grizzlies' collective skin. And so I think that you get the very, very best attitudinal version of Memphis when the Warriors are playing them. Yeah, it's not to say that Minnesota wouldn't be a problem, because they would be. They would be. And Edwards is fantastic. Boy, he is really, really good. He's got the makings of a superstar. So, yeah, maybe that's a problem too. But even if it just flips home court, even if it just allows you game one and game two at home, I think that's a game changer. I think it's a total game changer.
I think especially for a veteran team like the Warriors, where let's just take this series with Denver as a good example. The Warriors are better than Denver, but the fact that they have the first 2 games at home, if they're able to handle business tonight, 7 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game, if you go 2-0 up on Denver, already a depleted Denver, by the way, without a couple of their best players, And if Jokic again struggles to really take the game over and he goes home down 2-0, there's that feeling of being deflated. 93% of teams that go up 2-0 in an NBA series win that series. And by the way, it's a 78.2% for teams up 1-0.
Okay, so
historically,
the Timberwolves are in a really, really good spot. Game 2 of that series not coming until tomorrow night. Is that right? Yeah, tomorrow night, 5:30 start tomorrow night. There, the NBA slate tonight. Nuggets, Warriors, of course, in a game you'll hear right here on 95.7 The Game. Game 2 for the Raptors and Sixers, with the Sixers up 1-0. And Jazz and Mavericks will do Game 2. And, of course, all eyes on all things in that series related to Luka.
Yeah.
Because with him being out, they had a good start, good first half, not good enough. Utah was able to get Game 1.
Just looking at these numbers, if it's 80-20, the team 1-0 goes on to win the series. There's 2 series. Which 2 series of the 8 would be most likely where the team that lost Game 1 would still win the series?
Ooh, now, that's an interesting question.
Brooklyn, Boston, Memphis, Minnesota, would those be the 2? Because mathematically, 1.5 of these 2 teams, or 1.5 of these 8 teams, will come back to win the series. So is it 1? Is it 2? What do you think about these teams down 1-0 as we enter Game 2?
I think you mentioned right there the 2 that are the easiest answers.
Yeah.
And if I had to really put my chip into the circle of 1, I'll go Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn is the most likely team that lost a Game 1 to still win the series. They lost by a buzzer beater. They've got the experience. They're not going anywhere. That we knew. I thought we knew from the beginning that's going to be a long series. That feels like at minimum a 6, if not a 7 gamer.
Right. And but you wouldn't say like Hawks Heat. Do you think that the Hawks and Pelicans Suns?
No chance. That's probably a sweep.
Bulls Bucks similarly.
No, Bucks are moving on there.
Okay, so,
with ease, and I think the Warriors are moving on. The Sixers and Raptors, I'm going to put in the third hole there. Memphis is going to be my 2.
Okay,
the second most likely to lose Game 1 and come back and win. I'll give the Raptors the next one. Sixers had a really, really good first game, but the Raptors quietly over the last few weeks of the season, very, very good team. And the Sixers with Harden, as usual in the playoffs, inconsistent. Very good Game 1, but I didn't love them in the last few weeks of the season, and so I wonder if they were, a la the Warriors, waiting and keeping their best pitch until now, or did they just have a really good night? And we'll see, because remember, Thibault can't play in the road games when they go to Toronto. I mean, there's some. I feel like there might be some stuff ahead in that series too.
It's just the fact that this is still a thing is it's got to play into the front office's mindset, because the A's are looking at that in situations when they go to Toronto, and I know you've got other teams that are going to be heading north of the border. The Boston Red Sox.
Boston right now.
Yeah, they've got some players who won't be able to play as well. So, tough to anoint Philly automatically, which makes Game 2, by the way, all the more important when you know you're going to be down a player when you go for Games 3 and 4.
No doubt. So we'll see. But those are the 3 to me that feel like they could go a certain way. And then the other ones, after Game 1, I'm feeling even more confident than I already was about the Warriors. The Warriors, they left enough in our minds to have a little bit of doubt. It's like, are you gonna come out and you're gonna look like the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not sure. And then it's like, okay, like that was a real palate cleanser, I felt like, in Game 1, where it was Steph got back out there, but he was able to be eased in. Poole was fantastic. Defensively, they did what they were hoping to do. They made other people make shots. They didn't do it. They're already mad at Aaron Gordon, so they're mentally getting under. Did you notice that? Klay Thompson and Aaron Gordon were getting into it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And the Warriors, I think, felt like there's something mental going on there. They felt like they could get into the head of Aaron Gordon. He did not play well. And so we knew it. If the Nuggets didn't have somebody else go off, they're not going to win these games.
Yeah.
And that's going to be true every night.
And you feel good about the reality that most likely they're not going to have 4 of the next 6 games where 2 or more role players, for lack of a better way to describe it, that they do, in fact, quote, go off. Warriors putting up 123. It was a pretty comfortable 123.
Yeah.
The second quarter, they flipped the switch late in that second quarter and kind of offensively took the game over. And once they have the lead, the Warriors, I don't think, are going to be in a mode where they're blowing leads. I know late in the year, they had a few titanic blown leads, but that for me was more dog days, lack of focus. This team, this veteran team, when they get into these spots with a lead in the third and fourth quarter, I can't see him squandering it. Now, if a team can come back and beat him, that's a different story. I don't think Denver has that kind of firepower, though, to do that.
Before today's Warriors game, tune into 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, brought to you by Xfinity Sports Zone, the ultimate hub for all things sports with live game shows, news, and highlights all in one place. Remember, 5:30, Warriors Live. The countdown will begin. 7 o'clock is the tip. All of this sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer. Willard and Dibs and Howard Beck is going to join us here in just about 6 minutes to hop around the NBA. Real quick before we do that, and then we can get to it a little bit later on in the show as well. I do just want to throw this question out there. I'm not going to do any victory laps yet. I already did one today.
You're stretching, though.
Knocked a $5 bill in there. And so that's worth a victory lap. This is not. It's 9 games into the season. This is a genuine question I want to ask, though. Just a genuine question. Just throw it out to everybody. How long does this need to go before it's not lucky anymore? I'll just leave that there.
More than 9 games. More than 9 games.
But last year, too. Remember, last year was lucky.
Fine. No. Last year was lucky at this point. It was a good start. It became real and I like to go 54 games, 1/3 of the year. When you get to the 1/3 mark, you can talk to me. And again, marathon 26.2. I ran one. I understand it. You run the first 8. All right, I'm feeling good. I ran 8-minute and 40 pace. I was clocking 8:40s like there's no tomorrow. However, when you got deep in that race, it's a different story. So you get to June 1st, and we'll see where we are. If they're 30-20 on June 1st, I don't know if it's 50 games, but you get my point.
Totally.
If they're 30-20 on June 1st, we could start to talk about, where are we going for the playoffs?
I guess the message is...
If they're 30-20, they might be disappointed.
I know.
I take that back, Gabe. I apologize.
Yeah, what about 40 and 10?
Yeah.
Infinite number of outcomes.
Seriously.
It could be 39-11. It could be 38-12.
Could be 7-43.
It could be 37-13. Those are all on the table. I just want people to acknowledge there's a method to the madness.
Be patient.
They're cheap. Could you, right?
You don't get to do this after 9 games.
Okay.
We're 5% of the way into the season.
So
5%.
So the other 162 don't count from last year?
Last year was last year, bro.
Okay.
Whose approval are you seeking?
What's that?
Whose approval are you seeking?
Everybody. Until the naysayers, they're all gone. All of them.
Who's naysaying?
There's no hostility, bro.
Stop,
there
Kyle.
is hostility, bro.
There's a ton. There are a ton of naysayers.
Speaking of Kyle, a.k.a. Hot Take Jake, Kyle's Mad Props, Redux. We're going to take a look at how we did at 10:45.
I want the redo by you, but first I want Howard Beck. Here he comes on Willard and Dibs.
The first playoff game at Chase Center was a bona fide blowout.
Deep 3. It's good. Jordan Poole with confidence oozing.
for your chance to win tickets.
Huge butt.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Okay, let's roll. Willard and Dibs brought to you by BMW Fairfield. Now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. They provide a luxurious, all-encompassing experience to address all of your BMW needs. Visit bmwfairfield.com today to book your visit. That is bmwfairfield.com. This weekend had me feeling a certain kind of way across the NBA. Not only do I think really good opening weekend for the playoffs, I think a palate cleanser, a relaxer, if you will, for Warriors fans. And then the imagination of maybe this could go a little bit differently than we expect. Let's find out if it's too early to say that. Let's bring in one of our favorites, good friend of the show, Howard Beck, senior writer, Sports Illustrated, the Crossover Pod, Sirius XM NBA as well. Howard, my friend, how we doing?
Gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you? Good morning. I guess good morning.
Good morning to us, yes, but that's all good. No, we're great. We appreciate you hopping on. We're trying to figure out if it's too early to at least be imagining and wondering a second round that doesn't include Memphis. What do you think?
Of course it's too early.
Yeah! But we're going to do it anyway. You get that, right?
I mean, if we couldn't overreact to a single game, I mean, what would we even all do? We'd be out of business. I think, listen, if I'm placing stock in game one overreactions or just reactions, period, I mean, I don't think there's anything too shocking about what the Warriors did. We'll get back to that in a second. The Grizzlies, losing pretty soundly to the Timberwolves, I think is a little bit more eye-opening and, makes us have to think for a little bit. But, look, a lot of people thought going into that series, Minnesota had a chance to pull the upset, and the Timberwolves were one of the better teams in the league over the last couple of months. And so they're not your average. We keep talking about the Nets are not the average 7 seed out east. Timberwolves aren't the average 7 seed either. And the Grizzlies aren't the average 2 seed in a lot of ways because of how little their experience is in the postseason. But obviously, there was a lot to love if you're a Warriors fan from Game 1, and I think that was best case scenario, given everything they've gone through, right? Like, given not even knowing whether Steph Curry was going to play in Game 1, given everything they've gone through physically this season, health-wise, Steph on a minutes restriction, coming off the bench, that was about as great an opener as you could have hoped for.
Warriors may have found a good little six-man in that kid out of Davidson, Howard.
Yeah, plucky underdog story continues.
It's unbelievable. The experience factor, not only that he brings, but Iguodala, Looney, they've all been there short of Wiggins, Poole, and the youngsters. How much does that experience factor give them really an underrated edge no matter who they face in the West?
Well, I mean, I always felt, I've said it many times leading into the playoffs, that the Warriors, I didn't, for the regular season, it wasn't great to not have the core three guys playing together for more than a couple of minutes, right? But Steph and Clay and Draymond have, eons of experience together. I'm not worried about the chemistry there, about them not having gotten much time together on the court. It matters to the extent that the young guys need to know how to play off of them as a unit. But overall, my feeling was always, if the Warriors are healthy, they're as big a threat to the Suns or as big a threat to get to the finals as anybody. And I think what we saw the other night was an outline of that. The experience matters to an extent. Now that the Suns have been to the finals, I don't think, even though the Warriors' experience is vastly beyond what the Suns have done, I don't know that experience is going to come into play so much if they face each other. Warriors-Grizzlies, Warriors-Timberwolves, those are series where I think you could make a very strong argument that the Warriors, having been there, having been in every possible situation, will actually matter on some level. Because no matter who it is, Grizzlies or Timberwolves, these are teams that just have no recent history of playoff success at all. And so, all that said, you need Steph and Clay and Draymond to kind of, pull along the young guys. They're going to have their rougher moments. That was a phenomenal playoff debut from Jordan Poole. to say the least. Not sure how he did not make a finalist for Most Improved Player,
right.
But that that's as great a sign as any. But he'll probably have his down moments in the playoffs as well. That's how it goes when you're a young player. You'll have some highs and lows. Wiggins will have highs and lows. If Kuminga plays a serious role, he'll have some of that too. But the experience at the core of that team is their strength, clearly.
Howard Beck, Sports Illustrated, with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. I wonder what you speak to there with Jordan Poole. I'm not in any way saying that Clay or Steph feels threatened. I don't think this is a bad thing, but you understand NBA hierarchy on teams, and in many ways it's what broke apart Kevin Durant here with the Warriors. So what is your thought when you see Jordan Poole on the come, but Steph and Clay still here and trying to win a title? How does that play out through these playoffs and into the future?
Well, Jordan Poole, nobody really saw this coming. Probably not Jordan Poole either, I would imagine. So, it's not the same as if you had some top 5 pick who is, pushing for stardom and pushing for a max contract and saying it's my time and I got there's not to date myself badly and switch sports. This isn't Steve Young and Joe Montana. And so I don't think that's a concern. I think that, Poole having, come up under these guys, having, still being 20 years old, or somewhere in that range. I feel like, his time will come. I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure coaching staff is repeating it to him all the time. I don't think you have to worry about this being a clash of egos or expectations. I just think that you do what you can to maximize having all three of those guys, whether it's them in the lineup together, whether it's when Steph's back in the lineup, whether it's Poole coming off the bench. I think they've got enough offense to go around.
And I think ultimately it's about the finishing lineup for this team and any team more than it is about the starting lineup. But the first punch thrown in this series was the Warriors' offense, Poole at the forefront. What's Denver's counterpunch outside of the Joker, the MVP in waiting, just having a monster game?
I don't know that they have one. I mean, they're too limited in their personnel right now without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., and just without really any high-level talent. To speak of, defensively they've got some guys, and, you can always try to throw Aaron Gordon on Steph or on Jordan Poole. Gordon, pretty versatile and sturdy defender, but there's not – I don't know that there's a lot that Denver can do given the limitations of their personnel right now. Everything revolves around Nikola Jokic, and it was a good, solid game for just about anybody else the other night, but by his standards, probably not the greatest. I guess if you're them, you're looking for that's your room for improvement is get even more from Jokic, because I don't know if there's another button to press.
Howard, are we looking at 7 games with Brooklyn and Boston? What do you think's cooking there?
The way yesterday's game played out, that certainly is what you'd expect now, and I think a lot of people felt like these were two teams that could make the finals anyway, and again, not your typical 2-7 matchup, and so it feels like a series that could go the distance. But I think it could just as easily tip hard in the Celtics' direction, because the Nets, they play a lot of iso ball through Kyrie or through Kevin Durant. They don't have a lot of other directions to go with their offense, and they certainly don't play it that way. I think that the Celtics, I'm surprised that they came down to the wire, frankly. I think Boston just got a better balance, more overall talent. It's not to sell short Durant and Kyrie Irving, who are incredible offensive players, but the Nets have not shown a lot of defense all season. They don't have a lot of depth. And then on top of all this, you can take this as a plus or minus, but they might throw Ben Simmons into the mix in the middle of a playoff series when he hasn't played a single minute with this team ever. It hasn't played for anybody, period, in an NBA game since last June. And I don't know if he's a net plus or a net minus at that point.
And it's just interesting when you look at the way they're composed with Kevin Durant, one of the best ever, Kyrie Irving, an unstoppable force, yet the crowd able to at least distract or egg on Kyrie Irving. What'd you make of the Boston crowd and the Kyrie Irving and the middle finger and the back and forth? Does that help Kyrie or does that hurt Brooklyn's chances?
I don't know if it's either. I think it's guys will talk about drawing energy from the hostility and channeling it and using it as fuel and all that. That's fine. I've heard Kobe say that back in the day. I've heard a lot of guys talk about that. I don't know that Kyrie needs any extra motivation at this point. So if anybody's going to spin this into, well, it backfired on the fans, Kyrie probably would have gone for 39 regardless. He's got that capability. I don't think he needs any extra edge there. In terms of, the actual back and forth, I wasn't there. I don't know what was said, but, fans take a lot of liberties, and we've all been in NBA arenas. We've all heard things that you feel like, it's not appropriate in what is at least ostensibly a family setting. People go over the line. You hear things. This is not just a Boston thing. This could be just about anywhere. Some arenas worse than others, maybe. But if he felt the need to go back at them verbally and with the middle fingers, I'm guessing they crossed some lines. Because I haven't seen Kyrie Irving do that before. And for all of his other eccentricities and whatever other criticism you might want to throw his way, I don't think that that's a typical reaction by him. So I'm going to guess that things got a little too personal there. And while I don't endorse anybody going back at them, players, unfortunately have to take quite a bit. And Kyrie spoke to this. That's kind of the deal, unfortunately. They shouldn't have to take it, especially if it gets over the line and gets personal. But unfortunately, that's the setup in the athlete-fan dynamic.
Howard, it's wonderful to have you with everything going on after the opening weekend. So thank you so much for taking some time today.
Always a pleasure, fellas. Thank you.
Okay, it's Howard Beck, Sports Illustrated, the crossover pod, which is really good, Sirius XM NBA. You've known Howard for years through Bleacher Report, New York Times, LA Daily News. He is a sports media member, which means 12 jobs.
Yes, and it also means, especially someone like Howard, who's been doing it as long as he has, he's got a great sense, good perspective, and he's right about what we hear in arenas. And the Boston crowd is known for being beyond the edge, certainly. And I wonder where fan behavior goes from here, because we're getting to a spot where Kyrie Irving's not alone among NBA players who are taking umbrage. We had a fan last week throw a mouthpiece at a fan. We know we've seen other, Kyrie Irving got hit by a bottle in Boston, a plastic bottle, yes, but fans they're crossing the line, Mark.
Well, Boston, yeah. I don't know how you're going to take the Boston out of Boston. I'm not defending it by any stretch. Boston right in the middle of Patriots Day today, by the way.
The marathon, that's right.
Yeah, and they're taking it from the Twins at the moment. Top of the 8th, Twins up 5-2.
Okay.
So pick your battles. I'll take the Twins. Take
Nice.
the Twins in their game that's coming up against the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
Yeah. That's going to be my thing. So
Not quite sure that's minus 150.
Okay.
Exactly.
We'll check the updated numbers.
Live line.
Yeah, but that'd be a pick I'd like to have if we can. So we'll get back to the Giants in a little bit. I'm going to do something we rarely do here on Willard and Dibs, which is brought to you by Whole Foods Market. I'm going to go to mad props with time still left on the clock. We never do that.
Do I need to vamp?
We never do that.
Totally stretch.
Kyle,
All right.
take your time, brother.
About 10 minutes.
It's not that busy, man. It's not that busy.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Yep.
All right, so we had Mad Props last week. It was Warriors Game 1 versus the Giants 3-game set in Cleveland.
So good.
He's just so happy in here.
He is glowing.
Did you see
beaming?
You have that after sweep glow.
Would you have a sweep?
I just had sweep, and it feels so good.
Totally.
Can you get him another beer?
Can you get him another win?
The Guardians had scored 7 or more in 4 straight games coming into the weekend.
Oh,
and
the
then,
pitching.
Speaking of the number 4, that's how many runs they got. The whole weekend. The entire weekend. Thank you, Giants pitching staff. Thank you for the help that we love.
I was hoping that their mascot was just going to be some guards standing in front of a dude named Ian No dice. All right.
That's a 2.
They're guarding home plate.
Trash
Am I
joke.
right?
That's
Yeah.
a terrible joke.
I'm guarding
All right.
Ian over here.
All right, let's see. All right. God, 9 minutes. All right, so the first one up, we had Steph minutes against Giants pitcher strikeouts. Willard, surprisingly, you went with San Francisco on this one. Dibs, you went with Golden State. Willard, you got a W there.
Yeah, boy.
23 strikeouts, 22 minutes for Steph.
What a ripoff.
It was a blowout. It was an easy one. Carlos Rodon on the mound means strikeouts aplenty.
Well, it's because the damn Warriors were up by 20 after 3. Had that game been closer, they would have had to play Steph.
Except for they said 20-25 going into the game.
Yeah, 25 I win, 22 I lose.
It's true. It's true.
I feared for you,
Mad at
Dibs,
you.
when I saw the Dr. Pundia tweet. Dr. Pundia, of course, from Cleared to Play, 11:30 on Wednesdays,
Yes.
right here on Willard
And
Dibs.
don't miss it.
He tweeted, conditioning minutes now for Curry. It's like, oh no, Dibs.
Right.
He's on conditioning minutes.
Yeah, damn those conditioning minutes.
All right, the next one up, Clay made threes against Giants home runs. And fellas, we're bang on the number. 5 apiece. Yeah, 3 in game 1 for the Giants, 2 in game 2, or those are vice versa, none. In the second game, Clay, he made 5 threes, including 3 in the first quarter. So we went bang on the number there, boys.
Brandon Belt, appreciation tweet, and Tyro Estrada into the very cold, windy, whipping left field swing.
The whipping wind.
And a drive. Boy, put that young man on the list of Farhan fines. He absolutely torched the Yankees on that deal.
And in other news, Klay Thompson, good little shooter.
Yeah, he can shoot.
Decent player.
Yeah, good little player. 5 triples matching the 5 Bombskis. We both were on the Giants on that one, Kyle?
No, Mark was on the Warriors. You were on the Giants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because
we
Mark
both-
looked up the weather.
We both get a push. Remember?
That's right.
39 degrees.
And but
Yeah,
Thanks for
that
your-
was really a
Yeah,
factor.
that's a 2 for your Willard voice. But anyway, Clay's back. Don't let Jordan Poole distract us from how confident Klay Thompson looks with his jumper right now. He looks great. He's ready to roll. Clay looks like Clay to me.
And S. Curry off the bench hit 3 threes as well. Is that Seth's brother?
Steven.
Seth's brother,
Steve
right?
Curry. Yeah.
It's like when you see one of the various other Antetokounmpos. It's like, El Antetokounmpo? Is that Lou?
Thanasis.
Totally. Who knew?
Oh, I love it.
They're
All
everywhere.
right, the next one up, Draymond Green, points, rebounds, and assists, or Giants hits. Mark, you were on the Warriors here. Dibs, you were on the Giants. The Warriors win that one, 27 for Draymond, 24 hits for the Giants
Not a
in the
close
3
one,
games.
though.
Yeah,
very
close one. I do remember, in fact, saying that, let's see, points,
suck at
rebound, and
this game.
assists, Draymond was going to be at or about 25, and you looked at me like, he's not scoring points.
I had a triple single
And
for
then
Day
here
Day.
comes Day Day with the playoff version of himself with 12 points and a W.
Yeah,
In the
6,
pick your
9, and
battles.
12. It's a near triple-double. It's a double single with a double digit. It's a double-double. That's an in and out.
Animal
which
style.
Is nice. But Giants, it's going to be so cold. Draymond, give Draymond the credit here. My Giants were just fine, Mark. I'm sick of you hating on the Giants.
That's
I've had it. I've had it with this hater.
yeah, I get that a lot.
Totally.
But, it's just in my DNA. There's nothing I can do about it.
Can't help it.
All right, our fourth prop. Andrew Wiggins points or innings pitched by Giants starters. You guys both rode with the Giants. 16 for Andrew Wiggins. 16 and 2/3 for the Giants pitching staff.
Round it up.
DeSclafani getting the additional 2/3.
Attaboy,
That was
Anthony.
big time.
Hey, DeSclafani, huh? Am I right? Yeah.
Gonna need 2 more outs, Cap. Needed those outs.
Dibs and Willard got me in pick your battles.
Seriously.
Or in mad
We
props.
keep calling. That was my bad. I put that in your head that this is pick your battles. This is not pick your battles.
Yeah, it's
this
my
is
bad.
bad props. Yeah.
All right, next
Another
one
great
up.
line, though, Kyle. You're phenomenal as always.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
This
these
one,
lines.
this one not as great. Jordan Poole 3-pointers or Camilo Duvall strikeouts. Willard rode with the Giants on this one, surprisingly. Dibs, you went with the Warriors. Camilo Duvall just pitched just 1 game.
Yeah.
He had 1 strikeout in that one. Jordan Poole cashed 5 3-pointers. Bigger deal, Giants not needing Duvall or Jordan Poole shining in his playoff opener.
Or Dibs actually getting one right.
Yeah,
that's what
Catch me out one time.
Exactly. Catch
Put it
me
on
out
the
only
board.
one
That's 2 in a
time.
row, Dibs.
I did say that Duval probably wouldn't be needed, and the blowout on Sunday mitigated that.
Big considering also the way this road trip goes, right? Their off day got swallowed up by a redo in Milwaukee, so getting him a couple of days of rest, I think, is a big deal. While Jordan Poole, sure, that's a big deal, but the Warriors are clearly flush with scoring options right now. So I think, you ask which is a bigger deal out of the gate. I mean, I think it's Duval.
Is it of any interest that McGee closed the second game instead of Duval?
No, I think Duval probably was mostly unavailable. Remember, they just, he's pitched a lot, but they're not going to use him every time.
No, he's not going to be the lone
They're going to mix and match.
Absolutely. It's not so much of a committee as it is just who's the freshest kind of situation.
Riding the hot hand at closer, very good.
And his save on Friday was not an easy one. I believe the bases were loaded, were they not?
Juiced.
Yeah. All right.
Like 90s baseball, they were juiced.
3.
The Guru nod. Thank you.
Kevon Looney rebounds or Giants walks. You guys both rocked with the Giants. That was the right pick. 7 boards for Kevon. 11 walks for the Giants in the 3-game series.
Yeah, they got very good eyes.
Putting together good at bats.
Yeah.
And then the last one here, Andre Iguodala assists or Joey Bart hits. You guys both went with Bart, and he got off to a great start. 2 hits in the first game. And that was it. Andre Iguodala dished out 4 assists, so the Warriors with that one 4-2.
All right.
Mark, you win the bit. 2 points to 0.
Nil points. Nils Madsen.
Well, it doesn't mean he got 0 points. It just means I beat you by 2, right? Is that what you?
Yeah, you have 4 right, 2 wrong, plus a push.
Right.
So that cancels each other out. You get 2.
Okay.
Dibs 3 right, 3 wrong,
and 1,
and the push.
3-3-1. Just like kissing your sister.
All right.
Shout out Hurricane Gale.
It feels great.
No, it doesn't.
It does. I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank you, Kyle. First and foremost, I thought your numbers were fantastic.
Always the cross pollination of the bit is great.
And I'd like to thank the Giants and their hitting eye because they do know how to.
Now you're going to praise my Giants. I see.
Well, they do know how to take a walk. Pretty exciting stuff there. And then,
about excitement, this is something that you asked. I want to ask you back. When you ask me, then I ask you back. Is this exciting baseball? A team that's so pitch heavy, and we're waiting for walks. Are you excited? I know you love this team. 7-2 is unbelievable, but is this a sustainable, excitable product?
It's not a lineup that makes you feel like you're watching the Dodgers. That's for sure. That's not what they do. However, in the end, and I know how the Giants would answer this, and y'all can answer this too. I feel like in the end, if you win most of your games, that's exciting. And they hit a lot of home runs. They hit a lot of home runs and they win. So yes, the ball.
Are you not entertained?
The ball is not in play a ton, but isn't that the goal? We can get into that a little bit more coming up next. Plus, the first round of the draft for the 49ers just got interesting, which we'll explain coming up next. Your call's certainly welcome at 888-957-9570. That is our Xfinity mobile text line as well. It is Willard.
in your bank for fear of IRS or state seizure for taxes you owe? Are you worried about filing a return because you haven't filed in a few years? Or have you received an audit notice in the mail and don't know what to do? Then contact the law offices of Robert Goldstein today, because this is what we do. We work to stop IRS and state seizures for taxes you owe. We may be able to settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with an offer in compromise. We prepare past due returns, even if you have no records. We represent you before the IRS or state in an audit. I'm tax attorney Robert Goldstein, and my firm always offers a free consultation so we may openly discuss your legal options without any added pressure. We are a local firm with offices throughout the Bay Area. To schedule your free consultation, call us toll-free 1-888-TAX-EXIT. That's 888-TAXEXIT. 888-TAX-EXIT, and make us your last stop.
At Stevens Creek Subaru, we buy used vehicles from our customers, even if you don't buy ours. Visit Stevens Creek Subaru today for a competitive, no-obligation appraisal and cash offer on the spot. We buy all makes and models, paid off or not. Stop by Stevens Creek Subaru today or StevensCreekSubaru.com.
You're listening to KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Station. Presented by DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified. Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Happy Tax Day, America. It's okay. If you're going to get a refund, it's going to get there. If you're not going to get a refund,
gosh darn it,
well, then just focus on all that money you made last year. Wasn't it great? Remember all that money made last year? I know. Where'd it go? Where did it go?
Yeah, well, I didn't quite have that kind of year as far as the governmental this and that. I was in a little bit of a different spot. So, but the kids, absolutely. My kids were lucky enough to be workers heading into the pandemic, so they actually got a couple of sips off the government tea.
Hey, how about that?
Because they were earners going in. Earn in, cash out.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, are you giving or are you receiving, Uncle Sam, this year?
Oh, first of all, that's none of your damn business.
You're damn right it isn't.
Second
that's
of all,
that's why I'm asking.
Second of all, Creed had a song called "With Arms Wide Open." So, with arms wide open. Yeah, go ahead and give it on back to me, Uncle Sam. I give early so that I can get later. I believe in delayed gratification.
Wow, you give.
Don't talk about that.
So that you can receive.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and, tax me now, but come April, whatever, and P.S., Curtis, I know you're listening, just file the extension, okay, please? I'll come see you next week or whenever.
We're just not there yet.
You know me, Curtis. You know me. I'm good for it. Just extend me.
Just not yet.
I'm going to get my I'll get my refund whenever. If you do your extension now and then file in a month, I still probably will get my refund before you.
No question.
What's the big deal?
It's all sponsored by Fremont Bank. Full service banking, no compromises. Do not forget, as if you would, but do not forget, there's a Warriors game tonight, okay? Game 2, still basking in the glow of Game 1, but poof, here comes Game 2. The NBA has done a great job with these playoffs over the last however many years of conditioning us to where if you do get games with only one day off in between, feels like it's coming quick. We're like, whoa, we're just reacting to Game 1, and we've got Game 2, but don't get used to it because after tonight, we're going to get into the cadence of 2 days off.
Right.
But it helps the Warriors. This helps them with the situation they're in. The more days for Steph to rest and recover and become himself, I think is a wonderful thing. And if Saturday taught us anything, it's that our hope is potentially becoming a reality. The Warriors have a wealth of offensive options, and at least in this particular matchup, I think it's probably enough to overwhelm the Denver Nuggets.
It should be. And I think when you lay it out that way, there's a couple things that strike me. First and foremost, it feels like this Warrior run, no matter how it goes, aside from a bad thing happening to one of the key guys, it feels like this will be an excuse-free postseason. If Steph continues to trend toward at least being healthy enough to go, and the rest of the Warriors are as healthy as guys their age in the association can be, it feels like a team's going to have to beat them. Now, obviously, bad things can happen at any time. I'm not trying to jinx or say they're in the clear, but if no terrible, terrible thing happens, it feels like this will either be a championship run or some team's going to have to play well to beat them, because it looks like if they're healthy and all parts are on board, that they have enough to get by Denver. They'll be favored over Memphis or Minnesota. Wouldn't it be fun to have a Western Conference clash with CP3 and a 64-win Suns team?
Yeah.
It feels like, and again, this is small sample size, one game in, after one game for everybody in the West, it feels like those are the two best.
Well, it felt that way months ago, and then the Warriors have spent 3 months trying to get Clay in there and look like that again.
Right.
And
get Draymond back.
Right, and they kind of never did, because somebody was, told the wet sprocket something's always wrong. Like, here comes Clay.
It's one with a question mark.
Sorry. I mean, come on. No love for the Central Coast of California. Anyway, you go through this. Okay, Clay's back. We got to work him in. And then Draymond's gone. And we spent weeks on this station. Well, Draymond, straw that stirs the drink. If he's not back, we can't assess this team. Then he comes back. Then he doesn't look like himself. And then all of a sudden, he starts to look like himself, and then Steph's gone. Oh, we can't assess this team because Steph's their best player. And even now, you still don't have Steph as Steph. He's not playing the Steph role. He was the sixth man the other night. So you're still getting back to it. But in the smallest of samples, the most optimism you could possibly feel, because the way they look Saturday night is the way we've imagined them in our heads, yet not actually seen in reality. So that's what we've been doing for the last 3 months. In our heads, the Warriors would look a certain way. They really never did and never had a chance to. But Saturday night, they did. And to do that in game one of the playoffs, I think the optimism is warranted.
Yes, and it was a big if. If Clay can come back and be Clay, if he can be 80% Clay, if Draymond can get over his ailment, if Steph can come back from this weird injury that happened on a Marcus Smart dive on a loose ball, if Andrew Wiggins can be K-Wig, so many ifs, and then you actually see it happen in game one at home. That was a par, though, to me, Mark. That was a nice, solid par.
Sure.
You come back, you win tonight. 5:30 here on 95.7 The Game with your Warriors pregame. Well, now you're talking about a birdie. You've handled your business. And, with Denver being as depleted as it is, you just want to win these two, but you also want to win in this fashion so that when they fly home, they're thinking, geez, we probably really can't. I mean, honestly, can we beat them now 4 out of 5? That's going to be tough to do.
No, yeah. Tonight's a death blow, honestly, if they're able to do it. And speaking of that word death, I know everybody's looking now for the nickname, right? Everybody wants to know, all right, that lineup, Wiggins and Poole to go with the Splash Brothers and Draymond. You can't call it the death lineup because that's already been used. Don't do death 2.
Death 2.0.
Somebody did bring up, and I don't know if it's as simple as this because it highlights one player, the new player, too much. But is there something we can do with Deadpool? Is there something we can do with that? Can we put something together? Because that's creative. That's creative and catchy. I don't know if Jordan would like it. It's a little ominous also.
A little dark.
Yeah, a little dark. But I feel like
the dark side. Embrace it.
There's something there. Thank you, Kyrie. There's something there. And the fact that their nickname for years has been the Splash Brothers and now the new guy's last name is Poole, there's something there, too.
Right.
I got to figure that out. That's an algorithm, but I can figure it out.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's the idea of just trying to force something, especially after one win. You need 15 more of these babies in order to get to a championship spot, and maybe if you get to that championship spot, then we can talk nicknames.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. That's the Xfinity mobile text line as well. And a friendly reminder that right here on 95.7 The Game, this is the place to hip-hoppity skip for the game tonight and do it well before the game. Warriors Live, 5:30, brought to you by Xfinity Sports Zone, the ultimate hub for all things sports, live games, shows, news, and highlights all in one place.
I'm hella excited.
Damn right. And Goo's going to be here in about 45 minutes. And all hella excited. And then the game at 7 o'clock tonight. All of it will pour out onto your radio and into your bones.
And I believe that Goo is going to the game. No, I didn't ask him if he was going. No, I didn't see him on the media list, but I can tell based on the attire.
Uh-oh.
And if you want to see Handsome Goo, hashtag Handsome Goo, I'm sure you follow him on social media at DDD Guru. You saw him get his haircut today on, it wasn't IG Live, it was an IG story. But Goo is looking good today. You can't spell good without goo, and then there's a D on the end, which stands for Daryl.
Just chew it and do it. All right, yeah, maybe he's got tickets.
Just chew it and goo it.
Maybe he's got tickets? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying he's going to go media row.
Okay.
And, he's dressed like he's ready for game 2 business.
I'd be there with you guys tonight. I'd be there, but,
I'm a snob.
Yeah, you guys are. So I don't want to be a snob, but also I got them chillins tonight. So we'll sit around on the couch and we will.
The hell with the kids.
May the force be with you. No, I wish I could, but boy, can you imagine what that would look like when I got home if I went to the Warrior game tonight? That wouldn't be good. That would not be good.
I mean, it'd be Penny and your 3 kids. It'd be chaos.
Right,
there'd be TV dinners. There'd be mac and cheese and top ramen.
There'd be no dinners. There would just be Reese's peanut butter cups from Easter spread all over the walls.
Oh,
that's essentially what it would look like. Yeah, not a bad thing. Just saying, that's what it would look like. Hey, Bobby in Los Altos, what's up? You're on with Willard and Dibs. Welcome to the show. What are you doing, Bobby? Bobby?
Hey, Bob. Go on.
What are you doing, Bobby? Seriously, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Call the show, and then you're just not there, like your big moment. Eminem, Mom Spaghetti, and then poof.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough on a game 2 Monday.
Yeah.
And Bobby knows that you have to win the big days.
But he didn't.
No.
He didn't. All right, back to Warriors here in just a second. I wanted to pay off something we mentioned earlier. The first round of the NFL draft suddenly getting interesting for the 49ers. I'll say this. They're not quite on the clock as of yet, but could we get an indicator of what's about to happen with the Carolina Panthers? I know you're looking.
What would that be, Mark?
Well, it would be an indication potentially of things to come.
Boo! I feel like you're Goodell and I'm the crowd. Totally.
Boo!
You're finally back to not owing the jar.
I know.
So you're shying away.
I thought
he stinks.
For today, I feel like we've done a good job. But anyway, point being is that if the Panthers don't go QB at 6, is that an indicator that a Garoppolo deal is about to go down? Because the Panthers need to do something at quarterback. They also really need to do something on the offensive line. The two things they hold hands together.
They go hand in hand.
For sure. And I wonder if that's, by no stretch am I saying that the 49ers are going to get the number 6 pick in the draft for Jimmy Garoppolo. What I'm saying is once the Panthers use it, does that tell you that something could be coming? I'm getting just a vibe and a feeling based on some whispers around the league that, the Panthers, they're monitoring. They're monitoring Jimmy's recovery, and that could be a spot. If they don't fall in love with one of the first-round quarterbacks, wouldn't that be a smart thing to do?
Would be
for them this year.
Not to trade the number 6 pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
No.
You're not intimating that.
No, I'm saying to make your pick at the offensive tackle position, and then is there a later deal, a day 2, some sort of a deal that can be struck to put Jimmy on your team? Think about their division. What are they going up against, okay? The New Orleans Saints. That quarterback situation, I know people feel like it's
unsettled.
It's solidified because Jameis, like that's up in the air. Brady has, probably only 15 years left as a member of the Bucs.
15, 20.
The Falcons just kick things over to Marcus Mariota. It is a division. I'm not going to say that you can win. Brady is there. But it's a division that is not overwhelming you at the quarterback position. Therefore, if I'm the Panthers, you're not going to sign up for a first-round QB you don't love just because you're supposed to. It's not the time to do it. I would wait, if I were them, for something better to come along, and who is, as I've put it all offseason long, placeholder plus Jimmy greater than Sam to pull that off, because you could dance around in the wild card race with Jimmy on that team, knowing that the other two, New Orleans, Mariota in Atlanta, could you take second place in that division with Jimmy?
Maybe.
You could.
Yeah, I don't like your chances, but if you're thinking about the quarterback of the future not being available right now this year, a guy you love at 6, well, like you're saying, take an offensive tackle at 6 who's a real franchise-changing player, kick the can down the road one more year, and you know what? If you're not a playoff team, 14 teams make the playoffs, which means the top 18 in the draft are those teams that don't make the playoffs. So let's say you get Jimmy Garoppolo in and you're not good enough to really do much. You go 6-11 or you go 7-10. You're decent. You end up picking 7th or 8th next year. Well, now you have a chance to then get your quarterback of the future. Jimmy G, placeholder plus, thanks for coming. But now we're going to go in 2023 and get our quarterback of the future. That's not a terrible strategy, especially when you're looking at this year's QB draft being a little bit thin.
Draft is what, 10 days away?
From today.
10 days away. And again, I get it. Part of it is that the 49ers don't have a first-round draft pick, but trust me, I just think even nationally, a lot less buzz about the NFL draft. And for me, it's because of what we're actually talking about. It's because there are no household name or quarterbacks, even like a Trey Lance. He wasn't a household name, but quarterbacks people are really excited about. That's the straw that stirs the drink for the NFL draft. The quarterbacks. Yeah. Who are they? Do we know them? Where are they going? Who's moving up? Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's doing anything to go chase these quarterbacks, which tells me I don't know how excited teams really are for them or by them, and that could work in the 49ers' favor as the weekend unfolds.
Yes, the more that Carolina and the few other teams that have an unsettled spot, the more that they wait. If we can get past the draft and those teams that are unsettled at quarterback don't use high assets to get a quarterback. Now, maybe Carolina uses one of its later picks and takes a flyer on a guy that they like, maybe a guy who's not ready to be a year one starter. That keeps them in play. The biggest problem for the Jimmy Garoppolo trade potentiality, and someone on the YouTube feed is saying, man, that poor woman's going to be drawing pictures of Jimmy G for the next 2 years.
Poor Rita Oak, who, by the way, breaking news, I just found out her last name's not Oak.
Not Oak?
No.
Is it Pine?
When we had her on, did we call her Rita Oak?
Correct, we did.
We gave out her Twitter
she was
handle.
on like KPIX that day too, and they had her real name projected. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like how sweet do you have to be to get invited on the show, come on the show, talk to us for 10 minutes? We keep calling you Rita Oak.
But that's her artist name, Mark.
Yeah.
That's her artist name.
And then she never brings up that that's actually not her real name. Her last name, let me get it for you.
You think my last name's Dibley?
Carvalho.
Yeah.
Her last name is Carvalho. All right.
Which, as you know, is Portuguese for?
Oak.
Exactly. Duh.
No, it's not. All right. Willard Dibs.
At Rita Oak.
At
you
Rita
need to
Oak.
check it on Twitter because her latest, and I just retweeted it, homage to Breaking Bad, one of her latest, and she's got Jimmy G coming out of a Hooters. Jimmy G stopping bullets a la Neo is today's.
Perfect.
Some great ones.
She's got one next to Baker Mayfield where Baker's looking very stressed. He also looks a lot like Brady Quinn in the actual artistry. So there's all of that for you with Rita. Don't call her Oak. Let's go back to Bobby in Los Altos, who would like something all of us want in life, a second chance. Bobby,
in 1 or
2. Bobby, what are you doing?
All right. What I'm doing is I'm shook. There's no greater feeling than having technical difficulties, but hearing you two insult me that I'm not ready to go.
You're darn right. You're darn right. This world can be cruel, Bobby. You get one chance and no excuses.
Man, I thought I developed a little bit of goodwill with you guys, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, here we are. Here we are. We're ready for you, brother.
It's a mulligan.
All right, thank you, brother. So I'll start. I was actually going to start with a couple compliments. First of all, Mattson, very good job with those pick'ems or prop bets.
The mad props, exactly right.
And then number 2, Dibs. I'm very impressed with that time that you're saying for the marathon. I know a marathon's a joke for you since you're an ultra marathoner. Honestly, every time I drive by Auburn, I think of you because you do that with that ultra marathon. But as you know, 9:08 is the magic number. So the fact that you're hitting 8:40 is very impressive.
Thank you, Bobby. It got ugly late. 9:08 is what gets you under the 4-hour mark, and I did finish in, I think, 3 hours and 57. So the last 4 or 5 were sideways 10s, Bobby.
Hey, man, as long as you get past that 20-mile, whatever it's called, the wall, you're good. You're all good. So a couple of things. First of all, I believe that those 5 players on the Warriors played together for a total of 5 minutes in one game in the playoffs. So I feel like we need to pump the brakes a little bit on the nicknames right now. I just can't believe that we're up in a tizzy about that. Can we maybe have them win the series and have them play more than 5 minutes a game together before we determine that they're the death lineup 3.0?
Well, okay, good, fair point, Bobby. But first of all, that's no fun. And second of all, it's also a projection, is it not? I mean, Steph Curry's minutes are going to grow in theory as the series goes.
I'm going to be very confident that Jordan Poole's not going to average 30 points for the series. I'm not a hater, but like I said, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
All right, Dream Crusher, what else you got? Now he's gone.
Yeah, no, that was good.
I think he wanted to yell about Memphis, too.
Where is John?
Yeah, I want to yell about them. Don't bury the Memphis Grizzlies just yet. And we're not. No. We're not. We're simply, but there's data, and maybe the data doesn't apply here. But again, approximately 80% of the time, if you win game 1, you win the series.
In the first round, it actually is 80%, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. This is from landofbasketball.com.
Well, that's where I go.
Second round is 75%. Connie Finals is 77.5%. The NBA Finals, only 71%.
Wow.
Part of that, though, is because of the 2-3-2 format.
Sure.
You get that 3. Even if you lose the 2, then you get the 3. You win the 3, you just need to split the 2, the 2-3-2, and then you win the NBA championship.
Perfect. That's the way it works.
That's the way that goes. But in the opening round, usually the better seed wins the 2, and then you go back to Denver, and Jokic stands up on the plane and says, "Guys, I don't know if you know this, but we got to win 4 or 5 against these boys."
Right.
Tough.
To me, this is also something that you can do, and maybe I'm previewing what I'm about to do in 20 minutes.
Pump the brakes.
I'm previewing it a little bit, but what you're looking for, and this is what the Warriors need to deal with tonight now, what you're looking for, if you want to bet on this or even just root for this, look for the desperation.
What would that be?
A desperation sensation.
Yeah, cha-ching!
Yeah, cash me out 5 times.
Write you on the list. Totally.
When you're looking for a team's desperation level and what they're going to bring to the party, and is that enough to sort of make up for them being the lesser team? Denver is going to play desperate basketball tonight because they know what you just said, Dibs. They're not beating the Warriors 4 out of 5 times.
Nope.
Period. So, no, it's not a must win. No, they're not mathematically eliminated. If the Nuggets lose tonight, it's a wrap. It is emotionally and effectively a wrap. So they're going to play desperate basketball tonight. Same thing, and even though I just said it's a wrap, if they do lose tonight, Game 3 in Denver, wow, you get that home boost from your crowd. You know that absolutely it's a must-win situation. You'll play very desperate basketball. So watch for the Game 1 losers now. Tonight, tomorrow night, Wednesday. Watch the Game 1 losers. And if any of them are worth a salt in the series, they come out with a completely different pitch. I would expect Memphis to do that tomorrow night.
Yeah.
If they can't, then they are truly, they're dust.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I'm totally in agreement with you as it pertains to Memphis, but Toronto at Philly looks like they're on a heater, and Dallas at home against Utah, Dallas looks broken to me. So those are 2 cases where I would not necessarily buy in. Here's one more little factoid for you from the good people at Land of Basketball, the wickedly talented. Teams down 2-0 in the first round, they only win 6% of the time.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
So that 0-2 hole is a real one.
I would have guessed even less, to be honest with you. It's all sponsored by the Department of Healthcare Services. More on that coming up. Pick your battles around the corner. And we can dive deeper into the question you asked. Can a pitching first baseball team hold your attention for an entire summer? All of that around the corner. It is Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I'm Michael Jenkins, helping you beat the books with BetQL. The Golden
828-5242.
Nobody manages his load.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Pick Your Battles is not far away. Also not far away, the entrance into the room of Steiny and Goo. It's all sponsored by News Nation. If you're looking for real news, News Nation doesn't take a side or lean into political agendas. At News Nation, you get all sides. News Nation, news for all America. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find your television provider. We are your radio provider for the Golden State Warriors. Warriors Live, 5:30 tonight. Don't miss that. The Game at 7 o'clock. All of it right here on 95.7 The Game. So much more on that here coming up in just a moment. I do want to answer this, and let me adjust because, I'm not looking to victory lap on any Farhan or Gabe naysayers after 9 games because, and I've gotten that response now a number of times, text line, Twitter, hey, Willard, relax. It's been 9 games. And I go, no, it hasn't. What do you mean it's been 9 games? It hasn't been 9 games. Are you telling me that the Farhan Zaidi, Gabe Kapler experience has only gone for 9 games? I'm not
231 is the answer.
I'm not victory lapping on this year.
60 plus 162 plus 9.
I'm victory lapping on what I said 3 years ago. And what I would like to know as we went through yet another offseason of they're cheap and they don't know what they're doing and they won't spend and this is not going to happen again because last year was an anomaly and why are they this way and why are Freddie Freeman, are you kidding me? When do we get to the point when we go, oh, they know what they're doing?
I don't think we're there yet. And
we're still not there yet.
Well, in the truncated season, they were better than expected.
Sure.
They were basically 500. Small sample size. That was a good start. They were expected to be worse. Last year, wow. I mean, absolute wow. Maybe the most surprising regular season in San Francisco Giants history as far as how great they were. Yet, it did not result in them really doing it in the postseason. So that to me, and again, it's unfair to your argument over whether or not this, quote, works, but it's got to work, and then it's got to win in October. Because if it doesn't, well, then you're just a slightly better version of what Farhan was in Oakland. That I think is the counterpoint to the when argument.
Yeah, no, listen, I get that the long play is going to have to include that. Like, I don't think with the moment we're in, and it's an interesting one because the Dodgers are so epically stacked in terms of names and money and star power and all of that, it won't be enough for the San Francisco Giants to just be like, but we're right there. We're right there with them every year. We didn't beat them in the playoffs, but we're right there and we're really good. Like, yeah, it's going to have to go further than that, and that's not easy because how do you battle the Dodgers' star power? I mean, you have a hard time matching the Dodgers' star power with all the other teams combined in the National League. You know, it's crazy. So how do you battle that? That's fair, though. I get it. It's going to. My thing isn't necessarily about the exact record, and that's why I want to have the conversation now. 7-2 start is just a 7-2 start. But at what point, because this is the only bell that I've rung for 3 years, will you just trust that guy? Do you know how many conversations I've had with people who are inside baseball? Inside. Go read the quotes from Brian Cashman about Farhan. Go find out what baseball thinks of that guy. Go ask the Giants.
Wickedly talented.
Yeah, you can mispronounce his name and everything. I've heard all kinds of people do it. It's not Zaidi.
Adel Dazim.
Yeah.
Farhad Zan.
Adel Zaidi. No. But anyway, go ask the players what they think of this, of the organization.
Yeah.
And there are pieces they don't like. Alex Wood looked mad when he got taken out of the game yesterday. He did. Okay? They all want 6-year deals, 7-year deals. They would all love that. But there is a mad respect for this man in the game, and there's a reason. There's a reason. So that's what I'm wondering. I want to know when the trust comes. You know, I've had the Farhan faith the whole time.
You have.
So when's the faith?
I think the faith comes at the end of this year. Now, the first year is a non-year to me. It was a start where, think about how this all began. This began with a very contentious press conference where Farhan and Gabe had to defend their legacies. They're fighting for my life. I mean, they were fighting for their careers before they even started. Pandemic, you got 60 games. Who cares? I don't even remember who won that World Series. It wasn't a World Series. It was a non-World Series. Then last year happened. Oh, my goodness. 107. You didn't win anything in the postseason, but 107, man, that is tremendous. Now, this year, you back it up because last year certainly was great and it was a surprise, but much like when you golf, when you win a skin, you got to consolidate your skin by not blowing up the next hole. And now so far through 9 games, yeah, sure looks like they're going to do that. Doesn't mean they're going to win 107, but if they were not a playoff team, look at where they are right now after 9 games. If they don't make the playoffs, you'd be disappointed.
Oh, sure you would. I would have been disappointed when they were 0-0 if they didn't make the playoffs.
But even now at 7-2,
now
based
even more
on
so.
What we've seen 2 times through the rotation, the rotation looks to be among the best in baseball, and the power bats are still in place. And what you said about Farhan, and Farhan we trust, and Gabe Kapler's got command of his staff and the team. So doesn't mean they need to win at 107. Doesn't mean they need to win 97. They need to win 87, and they need to be a playoff team.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you on all
Anything
that, for sure.
less than 87 and 75 and a playoff berth would be a disappointment.
Yeah, that would be pretty awful.
By the way, if you do love the scoring in baseball, you ask the question, can a pitching first team hold your attention? Boy, you may not want to watch this series that's about to start. Do you want to know what the Mets and Giants collectively are doing as a pitching staff? The Mets so far this year are 7-3. They've played 10 games. You know how many total runs they've allowed?
In 10 games?
In 10 games.
Probably 28.
Take the under. It's 25.
Oh, my goodness.
The Giants have played 9 games. They are 7-2. Do you know how many collective runs they have allowed in those 9 games?
Probably 25.
Take the under. The answer is 20.
20 and 9?
20 runs in 9 games. They're barely giving up 2 a game. The Mets
45 in 19 between the two.
So, speaking of take the under, the over-under in today's Mets-Giants game is 7.
1.5?
Jeez. I got 1-0 for the win tonight in all of these matchups.
7?
7 is the over/under.
It's gone up from 6.5.
It's gone up.
That's not a bit that's happened.
That's right. I mean, it's going to be a 1-1 game in the 7th, isn't it?
That's 20 runs. That's 20 runs in 9 games, but they give up 5 in game 1.
Yes,
15
great
over
point.
their last 8.
That's right.
That's nuts.
They gave up 3 in just that 1/9 inning.
That's less than 2 a game.
That's crazy.
Wait, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking for the first 5 over/under. It's 3.5. So
under.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean,
I
under
know.
is heavily juiced too at minus 115.
This gentleman that the Mets are throwing at the Giants today, Taylor McGill. He has thrown 2 outings so far this year, 10 1/3 innings pitched, and a sum total of 0 runs.
So it sounds like you're taking no runs first inning, Mark, and pick your battles.
That might be minus 200.
Yeah, exactly. What is the number? Someone check that for me. Pick your battles coming up next on Willard and Dibs.
Jordan Poole's got 2 words for the Nuggets.
Money time! Money time! Poole off a screen, takes a 3. It's up and good. Court to Poole, takes a deep 3.
A simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
If you're looking for real news, News Nation doesn't take sides or lean into political agendas. At News Nation, you get all sides. News Nation, news for all America. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find your television provider.
You're listening to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game. Steiny and Guru are on deck, starting at 12 p.m. Who's on Deck is brought to you by On Deck, America's largest online small business lender. Apply today at ondeck.com.
Club Osh from Outdoor Supply Hardware has everything to make home shopping more rewarding. From free delivery and birthday coupons to double points days and member-only pricing. It pays to join Club Osh. Join today at any Outdoor Supply Hardware location or at osh.com.
Bay Area Panthers are coming to SAP Center on May 7th, and 95.7 The Game has your shot at tickets. Tune in on Wednesday for your chance to win your way in.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Let me throw something at you. This will sound all ominous.
Oh my God!
Like I just uncovered a little something. But I don't know if it means a whole hill of beans. But it's kind of interesting. A little connection.
The dark side, embrace it.
That's right.
Sony's got fries in there.
So what?
So good.
You have French fries? And you're sharing?
Gave me one.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Why would you come back in here to say hi to me?
Why?
Those that did want a fry.
I just came and said hi to you the previous break.
That was the previous break.
Didn't have any fries?
15 minutes ago. Now I got fries.
You got to at least tell me when I'm in there. Hey, there can be fries in here next time.
I cracked open the hazmat room, as you call it, and the waft of a French...
Unbelievable.
A fresh trough of fries.
I mean...
I said, you got fries! And he grabbed one, and he held it out, and he handed it to me.
Wow.
For just 61 cents.
I felt like Benny for a minute there.
Seriously.
Daddy, I want a fry. Thanks, Pop.
If I were to come in there and have a fry, that would be the first time in my life that I've had a French fry outside of the car. Yeah,
Totally.
They don't make it home.
Seriously.
They do not make it home.
The secret is to order additional fries.
That's a good point.
For the ride home.
That's a good point. Abe was rocking the fries on the way home yesterday from the golf course, and at one point he dropped them down the side of the seat, and you want to talk about somebody's entire world collapsing in front of them. There are fries that have fallen on the floor of the car. It's over.
We've all been there. It's tough.
Easter is ruined. Okay, so let me throw it. The wide receiver market got reset. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and now we're having our Debo conversation. So about 20 minutes ago, the cornerback market got reset by Denzel Ward of the Cleveland Browns. 5 years, $100.5 million.
Cash me out one time.
Seriously.
This is the highest paid cornerback in the history of the NFL. $71.25 million guaranteed. He is 24 years old. Denzel Ward, Cleveland Browns. The agent for Denzel Ward, Tory Dandy of CAA. Also, the agent for Debo Samuel.
Uh-oh.
So, again, yeah, it feels like an uh-oh.
Debo.
Look, Debo's going to ask for what Debo wants. But you have an agent that is out there searching and demanding, if you will, and getting a lot for a client. He is trying to do the same thing with Debo Samuel as we speak. Also of note, although not surprising, not even a little bit, is that Debo Samuel will not be at OTAs coming up this week. Real quick, good.
Yeah.
Even if he had been signed, stay home. Don't get hurt. I don't want you at OTAs. You're Debo. Let's see you in the fall.
Didn't he get hurt last year at the DTAs, the disorganized team activities that they had in Nashville?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and I just made that up, DTAs, as opposed to the DTs and the JTAs.
By the way, the O stands for organized, not off-season, right?
Organized team activities.
Team activities.
Organized chaos.
Last year was disorganized team activity. Hey, buddy, let's meet down at the park in Nashville. Oops.
Yeah. As soon as Hunter, I think it was Hunter Henry that tore an ACL at OTAs a couple years ago.
What were those DTAs?
Yeah.
Last year, the 49ers on the same day had Justin School tear an ACL and Tavarius Moore tear his Achilles.
Yeah.
During OTAs.
Yeah, so here's a new idea for
Those were
OTAs.
TTAs, torn team activities.
How about don't TAs? Like, just seriously, like, stop. Stop running everybody around there and losing your players in the middle of
It
the
was crazy.
off season. It
My
sure
son was a TA in high school.
Really?
Even though I said, no, you will never. I'm teacher's assistant. No, what a waste of a period. Well, he got himself out of PE mid-year and needed a class. The kid's a genius.
Unbelievable.
He beat the system.
TA's much better than
talented.
Yeah.
He is wickedly talented.
TA's much better than RAs, resident advisors.
Oh, yeah.
I will forever be livid with my resident advisor. Freshman year dorms, Cal Poly, heard that my mom had sent desserts. They were in the refrigerator. He knocked on my door, my closed door, to come eat my mom's cooking. And when I went into the refrigerator to get him one, he sticks one in his mouth and goes, oh, by the way, no. You're written up. I saw a beer in your fridge. No.
That's a 4 for your RA.
Are you kidding me? My mom's cooking is in your mouth right now?
Take my mom's food out your mouth.
And you
Yeah, he actually wrote you up for a beer in your fridge?
No joke, bro.
Wow,
That's so much paperwork.
Right?
Seriously.
For a beer.
Right. For a beer.
At Northridge, I got written up for only having a beer. You call that a mini fridge?
What are you doing?
Totally.
What are you doing?
It's a state school, bro. What are you doing?
I should have looked right at that RA and been like, dude, pick your battles. Come on. This ain't it. You're going to one beer?
That's a 4.
Special K bars that my mom used to make. They were unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Words spread like wildfire through those dorms. Anyway, what's the order? Everybody's 1-0. Everybody is 1-0.
We start with Hot Take Jake coming
That's
off
right.
a donut
Yeah, we do.
loss, and
All
then we
right.
head north until we get to the man who sits on the throne 15 of his last 21.
All right, so the selections will go Kyle, then me, then Spadoni with French fries, and Dibs will caboose it. Kyle, what do you got?
I'm hammering the under 222 on Warriors Nuggets. I think you guys are right. I think the Nuggets are going to come out ratcheted up. I think their defensive intensity is going to be better. I think this is looking like a 108-100 type of Warriors win, maybe 108-102. I like the under 222.
I love that with the number 7, Kyle goes, it's either 108 to 100 or 108-102. Could be, either side of the line.
As long as my math adds up.
Well played. Well played. All right, under the Warrior game for Kyle. I will dive into the aforementioned desperation of a home dog down 1-0. I know there's no Luka, but there is some fight, right? And we're talking about the Utah Jazz, who have been largely unimpressive over the last 4 to 5 weeks. And Dallas was right in that game 1. So the desperation of Dallas, plus the numbers and the home court, I like the Mavericks to make this a game tonight. Give me the Dallas Mavs plus the 5 tonight in game 2. Spadoni, you talk, I come eat your French fries.
Okay, there you go.
No,
Well, there's a
just
couple
kidding.
of them for you. Give me a big box, by the way. Shout out Gambino's. There's a lot of
There's
good
a
games
cut.
on tonight, guys. We got the Warriors, we got the Giants and Mets, we got the Mavericks and Jazz. We got A's Orioles though. We're taking under 7.5.
Let's go, A's. Come on. Get it going.
Frankie Montas.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, for me, the pick is as plain as the nose on my face, which, I should. Every time there's an I should pick, I don't, but Giants Mets under is a lock, but instead, hand over heart, the anthem is playing because the kickoff is just 2.5 minutes away. It's Serie A, the top league of Italian soccer. We got some day action, boys, okay? There's a soccer game that even my Uncle Gino doesn't know about, okay? That's coming up on A's Talk. Verona is taking on Atalanta.
Wait, the Rona? You don't want to get the Rona.
My Verona.
Oh.
No, in this case, we do want the Rona. Not the Rona.
Rona.
Verona. Verona's on good form. Atalanta reeling after an ouster from the European League, the Euro League. We're taking both teams to score, Mark. We like probably a 1-1 game. Verona, Atalanta, both to score today in Serie A. Good take.
I would like to start a new segment on this show, and it starts every day at 11:58. and it's going to be called "What the hell did Dibs and Spadone just say?" That's the new segment. Because you guys, your picks, I mean, they're in different languages. We got music going.
Oh, yeah.
The games are happening at 1:22 in the afternoon. I got no clue what's going on with any of these. But you'll send me a green check in 2 hours.
Hopefully sooner.
And I got no way to fight it because I'm like, I don't even know what he picked.
That's the beauty of the both teams to score bet is Verona can tally in the opening moments, and then Atalanta, not Atlanta, which nice win for your Hawks, Steiny. This is Atalanta. They can score right after, and we can green check before we even get in the car.
No,
people.
It's smart. You're on a 2-week winning streak, and I don't even know if it's true. You could just be telling me, like, no, I've won them all. I won them all. I'm like, I have no idea how to even check up on them. So anyway, all right, here we go. Steiny and Goo, and it's true, ladies and gentlemen, confirmed the report that came out courtesy of Dan Dibley about 30 minutes ago. It is true. Daryl the Guru Johnson in a sport coat on a Monday. Right. It has now been confirmed. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a party without a Guru party. Tell us all about it. That watch is big. So is your smile. You're ready to go.
I'm going to fall over into the, game 2 of the playoff game.
Just going to walk on over to Chase after this.
Not my friend, but my son said I look like a crooked reverend. So he said that about Pop. So his facts make me out. But call me Derek Jeter today.
You don't look like Mark Jackson.
Oh,
man.
Wow. Give him a 3.
Wow. Yeah. Early Chief shout.
Yeah, I know it's TMI,
I love
guys.
it.
But I had 3 other sport coats. The buttons were stressed out, so this was the one that gave me a little slack.
And the hair is unbelievable. And I appreciate you sharing the haircut on IG.
Well, I didn't do that.
On IG stories.
I went to a new barber, and he did it, and then I said, ooh, I kind of like it.
So then you did it.
Yeah, no, I didn't take it down. But,
no briny blends for you?
No.
Briny blends. He works on the beach.
He's known for his pickles, briny blends.
Yeah.
It's Bliney Brims?
Brownie.
Yeah,
Draymond's barber.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on you getting Draymond on the show.
Well, we had him on one time.
Yeah, that was because Subway.
That's right.
Eat fresh.
Sponsored
but I still try to claim it.
I know you do.
And when I yell at the ref, I like to do it with a meatball sub in my mouth.
Pretty much. You want a cold cut combo, ref? Speaking of which, Boogie Cousins with the Uno Dos Adios. Don't feel bad for him.
You two guys got the ref. Even Willard. What was that?
That was you got to go.
In a playoff game,
when you turn around 180 degrees and you point and shout.
I saw the point.
Boop! And then when you don't know when to stop, when you don't know when to just quit.
Wow.
And guess who came in and gave him the second one? And he got him left-handed. Scott Foster.
Yeah, I saw him.
He can tee you from both sides of the plate, Steiny.
Let me tell you something about Scott Foster.
Night.
He is a great official.
Well,
He's one of the best.
He's a great official. He really is. And you know how you know? Nobody likes him.
And
either team, you're right.
Nobody likes him.
Be careful here. You gave Willard's family member, who passed, he was an official, and you said he was a dope.
Yes. Greg Willard,
Greg. I was like, I didn't know that, Will. So it runs in the family, too.
Yes.
The stripes.
Number 57, may he rest in peace. Yeah, he was... I still think the record stands. When he joined the NBA, he was the youngest ever official in the NBA. I don't know if that record still stands, but yeah.
He took care of himself physically too, didn't he?
He did. Although, you wonder, I mean, you never know is it just bad luck? What leads to these things in life? Pancreatic cancer is what took him, and we all know that's one of the really, really bad ones of all the bad. You just wonder. Life on the road.
Wow, that's real.
Life in those restaurants and hotel rooms.
That's
and,
deep.
And officials travel. Officials travel twice as much as players.
Yeah,
they have no home games.
Exactly.
It's brutal. I mean, it's brutal. By the way, just to change it up a little bit, have you ever been to Verona?
Verona. No, I went to Venezia.
Okay.
And Vicenza, which is near Venezia.
Okay.
And of course, I went to Florence. I don't believe I made it to but Verona's up in that north kind of, that north central kind of.
It's the home of the wonderful Shakespeare Theater. That's looks like a mini Coliseum.
He's the gentleman of Verona.
There you go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Steiny and I go back to our junior year lit class. No, I've not been to Verona, but northern Italy is just so nice.
It is. It's really
tough to miss in northern Italy.
A little FOMO going on right here.
Yeah,
I've never been.
What do you got in your mind?
Never been to the country of Italy.
How does he know me? So
'Cause you're
to the
there.
game, my biggest takeaway